Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back to Sidetrack, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. Today, I know, it's just me and my lonesome. For now, all the guys, they have some links and stuff, so we might get some people down the road. But for now, it's just my lonesome, and we've got some stuff to talk about. So that is going to be fun. Let me change this banner down here so y'all know we're actually going and not waiting to get started. How are y'all? I know there's no one for me to talk to necessarily, like, right here, but how are y'all doing this week? I know it's been a long week. Great freaking week for sci-fi. We got The Wild Robot out, which I saw as early as I could in 4DX. It was a theater full of children, and just for reference for that, there is a part of where the second act turns into the third act, and there was a little child that something happens in the film and just starts bawling. Oh, I was completely crying right alongside the child. It's such a good movie. Go see The Wild Robot. But also, we got Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis. Finally, 40 years in the frickin' making. Yeah, not yesterday, Thursday, excuse me. I went to see it again yesterday and went to go see it on Thursday, and I think I've really enjoyed it both times. I did fall asleep in the stream on Thursday, not the stream, excuse me, the film on Thursday, because I just barely slept the day before, and I'd seen The Wild Robot a few hours beforehand, so sitting still for that long kind of knocked me out, you know. As Hamner, Texas puts it, yeah, I got you. Anytime you need me to do that, I got you. It cracked me up. Earlier, I saw Sarah put in the one with the cowboy hat, and I was like, oh, she got it right. Mega Flopopolis. Yeah, I am kind of sad that it's not making a bunch of money. You saw it twice. Nice. Yeah. No, it's not making much money at all. But it is excellent in its own way. It's totally weird and not for everybody, of course. But it's the dialogue, I think, is really confusing. It is kind of a similar dialogue to the way George Lucas's prequels kind of work. Different, weird, kind of like Shakespearean, but in like a modern sense. Different, but totally worth watching. Totally worth forming your own opinion on. So on, so forth. We'll dive into that stuff in a little bit. Those are my kind of like summations of that. Borderlands is not. Oh, you saw Borderlands. It's good. Oh, I'm glad you liked it because, woo. Yeah, it didn't get a good cinema score, but hey, not everything does, you know? Let's jump in to our topics for today, though. Megalopolis will be a slow burn classic. Don't look at ticket sales. 1,000%. I agree with you, Jamie. I really think this is a movie we look at in 5 years. We're like, okay, so this movie borrowed from that. This movie borrowed from that. This movie kind of took it and ran with it a different direction. So on and so forth. Yeah, Blade Runner was a cinematic flop. You know, maybe a cult classic in a decade. Hopefully it's even more than that. Porter Bland, good God. Okay, let's jump into this thing. We can jump into Wild Robot and a little Megalopolis in a little bit. But first and foremost, I know why you're here. And although I want to talk about the Wild Robot and Megalopolis, I know why I'm here too. Let me read this directly. We'll read it directly from the quoted source here, and from Jamie quoting the source, of course. So, are you ready? Are we ready? I need a drum roll sound. Do I have anything that could work as a drum roll sound? Let me check real quick. Feeding the ducks. No, we're not going through all that music. That's going to take too much time. I'm doing my own drum roll. You ready? Because we have an announcement timeline kind of laid out. Not laid out, but we can at least lay out a timeline for ourselves, or at least attempt to, after we know when that announcement happens. We may know when that announcement happens now. So, what do we have to look forward to? You ready? You ready? We need a soundboard. And I am teasing a little bit. But I do need a soundboard. I have what the hell is it called? A Stream Deck, that one, the fancy thing. I was just about to show you. I don't know how to really use it very well. I know when the buttons are well tuned, they're really cool. So I wish I had that for you right now. But we're going Stargate will be announced, we're told at least, around Christmas. Probably as close to Christmas as possible. Get in that new year, start it off right, end this year off right, and really push Stargate, MGM Plus, Amazon, and Sony into a wonderful direction. So, we'll do a video again. So, be prepared for that video this week. He needs... Oh, God, Jamie. I just read the first 4 words. I'm not even finishing that one. Okay, so 4 different sources on this one, y'all. Basic feeling is that Amazon bosses have been moaning that MGM wasn't being used right for the last 18 months. Excuse me. But Saki used the excuse that the strikes delayed after the pandemic, so on and so forth. The top bosses basically gave them until the summer to clear the backlog and get the studio capacity back up. Studio capacity is back up. So we're getting there. Back to it. Recent announcement around RoboCop and Legally Blonde evidence they aren't far off. Stargate has a couple of options and will be expensive, so Amazon still want to partner, but Saki's been instructed to make a decision. The decision is a great thing. The strikes, then the strokes. Yeah, it's giving me a freaking stroke. All right, continuing. Where was I? There we are. Movie is possible still, but must be part of a wider franchisable plan. Mike Hopkins is negotiating with Sony, somebody from MGM and Amazon Prime. Only thing stopping announcement is talks with Sony. They want to make it and will pay a fee. If so, their plan is TV, movies, and then series, asking for an initial 3-season deal. So that alone, let me just repeat that. We'll repeat that so it kind of is easy to digest, and it's just not just me reading off a screen. Hopkins is negotiating with Sony. Only thing stopping the announcement is talks with Sony currently. They want to make it, and Sony will pay a fee to MGM and Amazon to make it. If Sony gets their plan, it will be a TV movie. Most likely, I'm assuming here, it's not written here. Most likely, I'm assuming, will be on Amazon Prime, probably release on MGM Plus in a few months after that. So, they want to make it and will pay a fee. If Sony get their plan, it's a TV movie, and then we get a new Stargate series. It's asking for an initial 3-season deal. So, did you just say Legally Blonde 3 will be a RoboCop crossover? Interesting choice. Probably the best decision for those series now that I think about it. Yeah. No, that'd be hilarious, though. So it's asking for an initial 3-season deal. Can't talk. 3-season deal, not a 3-season feel. We're feeling it for 3 seasons. I'm hoping. What do y'all think about a 3-season deal off the top? There's just a couple little small little things. I guess the only other things are the MGM guy from MGM Plus has replied, indeed. So he confirmed this all for us, our MGM guy. Of course, take that with what you will, but MGM guy from us, our sources, has confirmed this. General consensus is it will be by Christmas. So around Christmas is that kind of perfect thing to say, but it will be by Christmas for sure. Any decision will be very quick once discussion with Sony is done. So once that decision's made, we're snapping, we're jumping, we're running, we're sprinting to Stargate, which is a wonderful thing to actually say and have a timeline outside of San Diego Comic-Con, because obviously San Diego Comic-Con can always be an announcement, and it would be awesome if it were announced at San Diego Comic-Con. But one way or another, it could be the week before Comic-Con, and we would still be guessing, like, okay, they could announce it at Comic-Con. This gives us a little bit more of something a stronghold to jump off of and to shoot for, and hopefully have happen finally. That would be awesome. What's the point of a TV movie? Okay, David, I am with you on this one. I really do think an actual film, not to film to TV, a film to silver screen and all of our movie theater screens would be the best thing for Stargate to jump off of. I don't think with the parading Stargate, RoboCop, and Legally Blonde, not Blound, down the line like they have because of the pandemic, because of the strikes, like we were just talking. Sulky didn't want to make a decision. Now they're saying you have to make a decision. I think this decision is probably just the culmination of all those things where we probably do need a movie. It would be really nice for us to have a movie for that series to have a jumping off point into. But TV movie is to test the market, and because they just haven't made a decision yet, they need to have that like kind of buffer just for the sake of having a buffer. And there we go. Jamie's saying, of course, who texted me all this, do read, I'm not hearing Amazon have changed their opinion on a hard reboot. No hard reboot has always been their position. But longer goes on, more likely hard reboot is. Jamie, I was so happy for a moment there. I don't know how to feel about that one. I'm hoping they don't do a hard reboot. Okay, one more time. So I'm not hearing Amazon have changed their opinion on a hard reboot. No hard reboot has always been their position, but the longer it goes on, the more likely a hard reboot is. Well, what do y'all feel about that? 3 seasons, would you rather? Of course, we all would rather 3 seasons of a continuation series of SG1, SGA, SGU. 3 seasons of a hard reboot. If I'm trying to be optimistic here. If they do that and they go that route, optimistically, that gives them at least, that means they have a plan. That's 3 seasons of something and a movie. That's probably, we don't have any idea of the amount of like episodes they're shooting for. If it's a 10 episode season, that's about a little under 10 hours, probably 8 hours, 8.5 hours, something roughly along that. If we're going that 45-minute kind of timeline for a episode, plus an hour and a half, 2-hour TV movie. And that gives us about 12 hours, maybe 11 hours, 3 season-wise, gets us close to 30. That's a good, that means they have 30 hours of project planned for us if it's a hard reboot. And I'll take anything. I would boycott a reboot. I don't know how to feel about either one of those. I know I would want to boycott a reboot, but I'm probably, and let's be honest, I'm definitely going to go see the movie this day it's out. If it's a TV movie, I'll be just turning it on the second it comes on. That's interesting. I don't know exactly how to feel about that, but if it is a continuation, let's take that route for a second. 3 seasons of plus a TV film, 30 hours roughly of projects planned for a continuation. That's even better, of course. If they do the reboot, they have 30 hours of content planned, 30 hours of projects. That's good. That is good. I like that. That means they have an actual like plan to go off of. They have a basis to jump off of. They're using Mark Ferguson's Bible, most likely, and they have things to just hit the ground running and to continue running after it's there, you know? They already have that with the continuation aspect of things. So if they take that route, we could, who knows where we'd be. Obviously, I think some of us would like to see SGU. A good chunk of us would like to see SGU kind of finalized. We talked about it the last couple of weeks, though. SGA may be the best part of the franchise or the IP to jump back onto with, because it kind of answers some of the SG1 questions, and it doesn't necessarily answer the SGU questions, but could kind of push those down a little bit. Say, hey, we haven't actually figured this out yet, but we're close to, and now maybe in the next season or the next TV movie, whatever we may decide to do, that's when we can go figure out what's going on with the Destiny. I really would like to see a story that wraps up the universe, but if they go the Atlantis route, I wouldn't mind it being pushed back a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, it's just interesting. I think SGA works best for all 3. I'm with you, Norm. I'm with you. Let's be honest, if Stargate is on the title, we're all going to watch it, even if it's just to complain. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Okay. Where should we take it, y'all? What are we thinking here? That's just a lot of information. First of all, okay, well, now we got this. A 3-season deal makes sense because of the cost of setting up the show, building sets, actor contracts. 3 seasons would be minimum for Sony to make money. This way we'd have a guarantee. That's nice. So the best example we have for this is, of course, Rings of Power that they're doing right now, and they knew that was going to take a little bit. So they made it where they had the world built out for season 2 and 3, and of course they moved from New Zealand to England, which is a whole different thing in and of itself, but they had the sets to bring alongside them. Great. If Amazon do it themselves, they can cancel it at any time. That is a great, okay, good point, Jamie, because that gives us a little bit of a buffer, a big bit of a buffer between Amazon, MGM, and us. Sony is essentially our middleman for this entire Stargate project if it happens this way. So that would be a wonderful thing that Amazon can't just say, oh, you know, we did really enjoy making this. It just didn't get the views we wanted in that first season. We'll try it again in 5 years with a different plan. Whatever it does. And Sony does quality usually. TV-wise, Movie-wise, maybe not so much lately. Sometimes, though, of course, they have their Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse films, which are amazing. Their indie films and smaller budget projects are typically great as well. But then they have Madam Web and Morbius and the Venom movies. And I know that Tom Hardy as Venom is great inside of those, but those movies are god-awful. They hurt me. I don't like those movies. Sorry, y'all. But yeah, so I'm hoping at least their TV project, because those are typically pretty damn good in quality, continues alongside Stargate, and we get quality television, which would be great. Power was a great show, 10 years ahead of the boys. Yeah. So, lots to digest, y'all. Lots to digest. What? Well, let me just go through some comments. How are we feeling about everything, y'all? It's not Venom. It's not Venom. Like, the performance from Tom Hardy's good, but it's not Venom. So I do worry about Sony with the film aspect, and part of me actually is a little bit happy that it's a TV film for that aspect of things. But, of course, I would first and foremost prefer an actual film to jump back into Stargate with. This is the... Talking about buffers, Sony's our buffer for us as consumers to the product and the project that is Stargate at the time. And I guess the TV film is the buffer for Amazon between... I guess Sony's still the buffer. There are a few buffers in a few different places that are just kind of like, all right, we're testing the waters. And it feels very much like this is the test of the waters kind of deal. And we have that 30 hours of projects ready and planned out. But we need a buffer because we're not 100% confident it's going to work. So let's make sure that it works for them. And like, let's get out there and like actually support it as much as we can. If it's good, if it's not good, we tell them and we're like, hey, give us something that's good, please. But if that does not end up being the case, that does not end up being the case, and we'll have to be honest one way or another. Of course, we hope it's good. 3 seasons would be amazing because they have time to find their tone. That's what we would really like. Season 1 can be that kind of jumping back on point. We're okay. We're here. We're back. We got SG1, SGA, maybe a little bit SGU, whatever it may be. We've got that tone to jump off of. Let's find our own tone, and that would be what they would start doing in Season 1. Season 2 would be kind of where they would get it, and Season 3, I feel like, is where typically a TV series like this would have that tone. This is us. This is our series. And sometimes, of course, there are shows that get that in their first season, but those are hyper inflated budgets. Something like Last of Us. You get that first season immediately. You're like, all right, I'm in it. That thing's expensive to make. If it's a TV film and it's going to MGM Plus, this isn't going to be that expensive of a project. I know in the past we've talked about a $30 to $40 million season, which kind of gives each episode that kind of 3 to 5 kind of million range, maybe 3 to 8 on like a high end if they were to boost it just a little bit. I don't know. I'm hoping that they raise it just a little bit. I don't know if that's likely. I think that 5 to 7 million episode range would be great. Yeah, 230 million for the Acolyte. That's a lot. I don't know if Stargate did that. What we could do with 230 million for it would be out of this world, quite literally. And I think Stargate would utilize that money and make a much more quality project, or a multitude of much more quality projects with that type of money. But alas, they were not afforded that, and they are not going to be afforded that, which once again is that bit of a buffer. We're going to get a big buffer in a lot of different ways, and it's definitely them just testing those waters. And we have to, if let's use a good metaphor. I got my cowboy hat. I'm a Texan. Let's use metaphors. I like to speak in metaphors. If the tide is high, we got to roll with it, you know. We're now I'm using an Alabama reference, but I guess roll tide in that way. You got to roll with the tide. Hurt me using the Alabama reference. Did they win yesterday? We watched like a minute and a half of that game. I have kind of gave up on football. Sorry. Anyway, back to Sci-Fi. Is it going to be a third act movie or play, or is it going to be similar to a third act play? Well, if I were them, I would have the TV film. This is how I would do it. The tide rolled last night. Okay, they did. What is going on? I know. It fit with the metaphor, and you saw me as I said it. I was like, oh, I have to use these words, but I did. Alas. Anyway, so what was I just saying? Now I'm back to my water metaphor in my brain. Oh, 3-act movie replay. But yeah, thank you, Michael. So if I were them, this is the way I would do it. Not saying this is how they're doing it. This is how I would do it as someone that is a film worker, wants to make films, made tiny films, nothing large scale yet. Working on that part. But anyway, I would say, hey, we're planning a film, a TV film. Let's make that its own thing. Use that as that bridging back point. That is our bridge from the old series to this new series of Stargate and possibly films, etc., etc., etc. 13 to 15 episodes would be awesome, Jordan Nader. I think that's kind of perfect. Anyway, I would say this needs to be its own story. Make that TV film its own story. And then, if it's that, hopefully 12 to 15, 13 to 15, 13 to 16 range, 12 and 16 are kind of good numbers for this idea because it gets you that arc. I would say do a season. Of course, you want your season to end with an arc. So you would want the first, second, and third act in your first season, in your second season, and in your third season. But with the way they have it set up, I would say make your first season its own first act. Make your second season its own second act, and make your third season its own third act. And then you can have those 3 acts per season culminate into a larger arc of a story. And then by that third season, we're really into it. We have the tone and everything. Then hard reboot. No, then please no hard reboot. Oh, God. But then after that, we would have at least 4 kind of smaller arcs to follow, 1 giant larger arc, and that will set up everything that they want to do in the future. And I assume they already have plans for avenues they can take after those 3 seasons. If they're allowed that and they use it as a 3-act project, that I think would really set up where we could go in a really nice and cool way. 22 episode seasons weren't expensive then. Why suddenly now? They weren't expensive. It's not that they weren't expensive. Some were. We've just upped the way that we spend money on films as a society and an industry, and not film, television in a huge way. Rome was really the first thing. Of course, Band of Brothers and the Pacific, stuff like that. Rome was early on too. Of course, you had the Sopranos, but then Rome was that first, I think, thing that had $100 million for the series for the first season. I don't think it was for the series. Maybe it was $100 million for season 1 and $100 million for season 2. But ever since Rome, we have not been getting as long of series, and it's been much more serialized for a very specific arc instead of that monster of the week kind of format, which was that 22 episode season. Rome was awesome. I haven't seen it since I probably shouldn't have watched it as a kid, but I did. I haven't seen it since I was a kid. I need to watch that one. Again, I need to watch a lot of those. We were talking about Xena and oh God, what's the Kevin Sorbo? Hercules, duh. And Rome fell. Yep. We were just talking about those last night, and those kind of introduced us to where Rome could have gone. And then Rome said, all right, this is what we're actually doing. And I think that is truly the breaking off point for where TV was that monster of the week to this quote unquote prestige television, I think is the best way to refer to that. Rome killed Carnival, and I'll never forgive them for that. Carnival, one of the best shows of all time. That's funny. Gladiator, new one. I'm cautiously excited for it. Cautiously excited. Secular Monk. Thank you. Literally, as I was saying that, 22 to 24 episodes were the standard for the 90s, and usually before that. Maybe early 2000s as well. Prestige TV, HBO was the one to make 10-episode seasons a thing. Yeah, and now HBO is the one who's making 8-episode seasons, and then 7-episode seasons, and then 6-episode seasons a thing more. Which I think there's perfect stories for that. Miniseries are perfect for that. If we get a Stargate miniseries that's 8 episodes long and it's an hour and a half per episode, and you almost get like a mini film for each one, call me happy. I'm going to be a happy camper. But I don't want that to be our main series. I want our main series to be a little bit closer to that serialized Monster of the Week, more Adventure of the Week, of course, for Stargate, because it's not monsters. Of course, there could be monsters, which you adventure and find. But Adventure of the Week kind of style would be, I think and I hope, the way they go about it. I don't know. A season is really now a mini-series. A lot of the time, yeah. And it's just a lot kind of stacked onto one another. It makes up a full series now, which I like. It's different than we've approached it in the past, of course. These last 15, 20 years, very different than the 20, 25 years before it, which were different than 20, 30 years before that. But that 20 to 30 years before that was still a little more serialized in that same manner, where we've totally just shrunk it down into literally half or a third of what we used to get. Sometimes for that prestige, and definitely the acting, the style of acting that we've gotten the last few years has really changed. Not changed, I guess. It was Sopranos changed that style of acting. That brought us that prestige TV, and that changed from your over the top, like, hey, how are you, bud? To, hey, how are you, bud? You know, it just changed from that almost bubbly version of acting to let's be what a human being would sound like. And now we're in the culmination of all these things, you know? Harris is pulling off the Doc Holliday look today. Hey, I'll take that any day. Crazy thing is, this is how I look on a normal basis. Maybe not the hat all the time, but when I can wear my cowboy hat out in this crazy California land, I try, you know? I try. We've moved away a bit from episodic TV where you had lots of standalones. Now it's more serialized. Yeah, very much so. Episodic, that's the word I've been looking for. I keep going, Adventure of the Week, Monster of the Week. That's the actual term I'm looking for. Thank you, David. Use of green screen has shortened seasons due to special effects time. Yes. And honestly, for the worst. I'd like worst for the worst. Excuse me. Are all the balls dead? Hopefully not. Boardwalk Empire is one of my favorites. Okay, I'm distracting myself. I'll read those in a second. Use of green screen shortened seasons due to special effects time. Very much so, and I do think it's for the worse. Definitely for the better in a lot of ways. Overall, overall it's still for the best because we get so much more photorealistic things sometimes that look cool, immerse you as the consumer, as the viewer that much more. But sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it takes you out of it a lot more. And sometimes for these smaller budget films and things like that, those special effects would be far better because it feels like the actors there. If you don't have these $100 million budgets or 70, 80, 140, $180 million budgets for things, or Acolyte with $230 million, freaking good lord. You don't have the places on set to, because if you have that type of money, you can do whatever you want. You can set up this green screen right here, but in front of it, you have these tennis balls on top of something that looks like the thing that's going to be in the film for you to kind of act on. And you're like, okay, this is my reference point. This is what I'm playing with. Let's do it. Where small budget things, they just don't have it. And special effects, practical special effects in the past have been that thing that bridges the gap. Might not look 100% perfect. Sure, aliens tend to be very human-like because humans need to puppet or be the alien a lot of times. That's okay. That's okay because it helps us as the consumer, as the person viewing, as the person who is getting the art delivered to us. It helps us immerse ourselves inside of that. VFX, visual effects, of course, the like CGI kind of, et cetera, animation has helped in so many ways, but it has hurt in that way specifically. And of course, I would really like Stargate to kind of bridge the gap a little bit there. They were always good about bridging the gap back in the past. They were early on. Of course, now you can watch Stargate and see all the animation, and you're like, well, some of it doesn't look great. But at the time it did, and they were willing to take that leap and use that new tool that they were not, I guess, standard. They weren't standard bearers for, but they, I guess, brought it to your weekly screen, which is more than most series and projects can say. So that's cool. I think Stargate's great about using the past and forging the future. I like that. Yeah, using the past and forging the future. There we go. VFX should be getting cheaper. I can wrestle something up on DaVinci Resolve. 1,000%. The reason it's not getting cheaper and the reason VFX are not like looking great most of the time is because of just people rushing things. Studios do not give people the time. If I know it would suck for us as that consumer again, as the viewer of projects, but if the studios gave their VFX artists just an extra 2 or 3 months, 4 months to work on things, we would be getting Avatar level quality all the time. The reason Avatar is Avatar level quality is not because there are many films and TV series even nowadays that use similar things that what James Cameron has done in Avatar. The reason Avatar looks so damn good all the time is because, hey, we're not going to release a film. First of all, I'm not going to do this film till the technology is where it needs to be. And then the next film, okay, it's going to take 9 years to make. After that, 3, then we'll do every other year. They've planned out and set it up where they have given their visual effects artists time. Time is the best thing these artists can be afforded for these things. And that gets us something super photorealistic where, hey, now we're on Pandora with a bunch of blue aliens. And, oh, yeah, Pandora's box has been opened because these things look not human, but right next door. And God, it feels so real when you're there. It's so cool. We could have that for every movie. Marvel movies could make you feel like that, even whenever you're going into the quantum realm with Ant-Man. And we're not talking about the quality of that film, just the VFX at the moment. But yeah, so we need to just afford our VFX artists a lot more time, and it would be amazing what we would get. I think Stargate will hopefully do that. I hope Stargate will do that. I don't think they will necessarily because we keep clamoring for stuff. One thing that we don't want to do, and I plead as a community that we do not we do not rush Stargate. We say, okay, you're here. You announce something. Finally. We're happy. We're ecstatic. We're ready. We're ready whenever it's ready. That's what we should say. We're ready whenever it's ready. Because we don't want to rush it, and we don't want to get shite CGI. We don't want it to be bad or anything like that. Cat! I'm a lazy namer. That's my Calico cat named Calico back there, of course. I'm not joking. What else did you say? I don't know. Where is it, Jamie? I'm not seeing your name up there. A joke would be wearing a cowboy hat in public. Boy, a joke would be England trying to take hold of the U.S. again, baby. Come on. That's why the world's moving to Texas right now. They want us to have our cowboy hat. There we go. Enjoying the match, Jamie? I know, okay. Off my soapbox there. Ooh. Okay. What else? Let's go up here in some comments. First of all, okay. We'll run through some comments real quick. Oh wow. Not that most recent comment, but anyway, we'll skip past that. Hat keeps the sun off. Damn right, David, and damn straight. Okay. So we'll go through some comments. What do y'all feel about the 3 seasons? What do you feel about the TV film before the 3 seasons? Is that the right way to go? Is that what you expected? I guess, first and foremost. Is that what you expected? And then do you think that leaves them and affords them enough room to set up where we are for the next 10, 15 years, maybe? Or does that say, all right, this is really testing the waters. This is about as much of testing the waters as it is. It doesn't show confidence, and that gives me a little trepidation. Where are you at? Where are you at? I know that was a lot, but where are you at within that? We'll go through some comments in the meantime, and then after that, of course, this will not be set in stone by any frickin' means. But let's try to come up with a timeline. If we get an announcement in December, right around Christmas, or by Christmas per se, we keep going. You know, we might as well roll with it, roll with the tide, and jump off and see where we're going. Zach, thank you, Zach. As long as they pick a direction instead of going around in circles. That's what we're just clamoring for. Stargate Atlantis started with a TV film, so it does work. That's true. That season 6 to into season 7 is totally a film. Oh, that's what you're saying. Oh. Jamie. Can talk Star Trek. Scott, I would love to. I don't know Star Trek. I'm literally starting Star Trek this week. We're trying to figure out a time with Omar Cartier. And we're going to figure out a little thing to start doing some Star Trek stuff. I've never watched it. And of course, I'm a Stargate Star Wars person. So I got to finish out with the OG, the holy trident of sci-fi, you may say. So we'll get to some. Don't worry. But not just yet. Penny droppeth. Am I talking to myself? A little bit. My bad. I was talking to myself for a little bit. Okay, real quick. Yeah, hello, Harris. Yep, need a TV film to kick off the new Stargate teen, but I hope it starts with Rodney presenting a plan to the Oversight Committee to rescue the Destiny. That would be perfect, Ian. That would. MGM, Sony, Amazon. Talk to Ian. Oh, shit. We'll get on them. Don't worry. But that Scott. Oh, really? You haven't done that either? Okay, we'll be getting on that. I'll tell you my plan at the end of the week, or not the end of the week, the end of this stream for the week, whatever I'm trying to say. Oh, I know, but I'm going to watch it in chronological order. And so starting with Enterprise, then the first couple seasons of Discovery, then so on and so forth. Anyway, that's going to be interesting. Let me do this real quick. What is the news? Recap, please. Before we get to Jamie's new news that he just texted me, let's go ahead and recap what we have real quick. We're at the 40-minute mark. We have a few new people in here. Let's see what we got. You ready? Clear that throat, as they say. Y'all ready? Here we go. I'm being told Stargate will be announced around Christmas. I'll do a video later. So Jamie will come out with a video. We might do like a channel video as well. We'll figure it out. Keep your eyes out. It looks very promising. Again, so fingers freaking crossed this time. I feel like this one is personally more promising than like a San Diego Comic-Con announcement because, like I said earlier, if you go to San Diego Comic-Con a week out from that, you could be like, oh, there's totally the possibility they announce, or there's totally not. And you never really know because there's always like so many things are announced. You just kind of half expect it and half don't always. With this is something that we're like, all right, we got Christmas. We're looking for Christmas. Cool. That's what we're waiting for. That's nice. That gives me a little bit more promise. Anyway, 4 different sources we have for this one. Basic feeling is that Amazon bosses, and they're all corroborating this sentiment right here. Basic feeling is that Amazon bosses have been moaning that MGM wasn't being used correctly for the last 18 months by Jennifer Salke, using the excuse that the strikes after the pandemic have just continued to delay everything. The top bosses basically gave them until the summer to clear that backlog and get studio capacity back up, which we've been saying the whole way. That studio capacity is back up with the Legally Blonde RoboCop stuff. Anyway, studio space was delayed a little bit, but basically as planned. Recent announcement around RoboCop Legally Blonde evidence that they are not far off. Stargate has a couple of options and will be expensive, so Amazon still want to partner. Sony, but Salke has been instructed to make a decision. Movie is possible still, but must be part of a wider franchisable plan. All right. Step 1 in here. Step 1 of the recap. Right? Are we good? Mike Hopkins is the guy that's negotiating with Sony. Only thing stopping the announcement is the talks with Sony currently. They want to make it, and they will pay a fee. Sony will make it and will pay a fee because they want to make it. Not necessarily will, they want to. Had to correct myself. If Sony get it, their plan is TV, movie, and then a series, asking for an initial 3-season deal. So, there we go. Our MGM guy from MGM Plus has replied, indeed. So, that's a 4th source right there, or I guess a 5th source technically because it's corroborating. He's indeeding the 4 sources that corroborated the sentiment to us. The general consensus is that it will be announced by Christmas, but any decision will be very quick once discussion with Sony is done. So there is the chance that we get that beforehand. If Sony finishes this deal, pins this deal quickly, and they're like, let's announce this thing, let's do it, we have that possibility. But the most likely and liable thing to have happen is Christmas. Christmas is our Stargate announcement. All right, continuing. Oh, I'm here if you have questions. Thanks, Jane. Finally saw it. All right, you ready? This is why I started laughing. Jamie, reread your first sentence in the last one. I'm a child. Not really, but I am mentally, and down in my heart I am, of course. Jamie's first sentence in this next big paragraph he texted me is, it's coming thick and fast. That's why I started laughing whenever I opened up the message. All right, you ready? It's coming thick and fast. The source that first told me about the Sony deal just messaged me. They say a deal in principle has been agreed with Sony and Amazon. One more time. It's coming thick and fast. Damn. The source that first told me about the Sony deal just messaged. They say a deal in principle has been agreed with Sony and Amazon. Good. Very good. Okay, continue. Deal is for studio space for Amazon at Sony Studios. Includes production partnership for James Bond. Welcome to your scoop here. We're scooping James Bond news in the middle of Stargate news. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Anyway, includes production partnership for Bond, a multi-year, multi-movie deal for Sony to produce with Amazon Pictures. So if I'm reading this correctly, Sony may even be co-producing Bond alongside Amazon and Prime and MGM. This would be interesting. I may be misreading that, but that seems to be what it's saying. So here we are. Let me go back one sentence. So we're all in the same headspace here, because I know my ADD ass will go all over the place. Trying to keep it in one spot. All right, you ready? Okay. Deals for studio space for Amazon at Sony Studios. Includes production partnership for Bond, a multi-year, multi-movie deal for Sony to produce with Amazon Pictures. Sony products to stream on Amazon, and this all includes a license agreement for Stargate and possibly other MGM IP. Not sure what just yet. This was agreed last week in principle, but Sony is doing what they always do and playing hardball with their fees. Apparently, a sticking point is structure of fees, as Amazon want bulk of it up front and Sony want to structure it over time and build into the contract safeguards, so if shows fail, they're still protected. Very much a rumor. Only one source is corroborating this information so far. Only one source so far. So that is this is all alleged, and that is our, buffer right there. That is our buffer, but seemingly it seems like Amazon and Sony are trying to buffer each other a bunch with this. RoboCop seems kind of likely. Of course, we don't know. We don't know what those other projects may be. But if they're going in and gunning for some MGM and Amazon IP, that seems like a very good one to go for, especially if they're thinking that sci-fi kind of route. Always comes down to money. Damn right. Yeah, Sarah. Yep. Which also, check out this past Wednesday's episode of just, I guess it was going to be a Stargate Outpost episode, but Sarah and I just hung out for a few hours talking about Stargate. Great. This coming Wednesday, Stargate Outpost number 2, technically. We're choosing the best and worst episode of Stargate Atlantis. So if you like Stargate, which I'm assuming we all do, come hang out with us this Wednesday. Also, check out this past Friday's Radical Wasteland if you like Fallout stuff with Greg and I. That was a great stream. We talked the critique of capitalism for Fallout. Is it so? Is it one? And how so? And we don't agree with it necessarily. I think we're on different ends, but we had a great conversation, and it worked very well. Another one this Friday, not so political. This one's talking about their cool Radical Wasteland, like Mojave Desert, cool like Burning Man thing. Greg has a buddy that went to that, so we're totally doing that this week. Anyway, back to Stargate. Always comes down to money. It seems Hey, Fallout 4 so good. No Concord repeat. I can't speak. No Concord repeat. I'd be scared too. You can't beat a good buffering. That's okay. So let me just open this back up again because it seems like they're just buffering. It seems like they're using their buffer to try to buffer further down the road, which is kind of funny. But also, that's kind of what contract making is a lot of the time, you know? So okay, from what was just said here, this was agreed last week in principle, but Sony's doing what they always do and playing hardball with their fees. Apparently, a sticking point is the structure of fees. Amazon want bulk of it up front, and Sony wants to structure it out over time and build into the contract safeguards. So if shows fail, they're still protected. Once again, I think the easiest example to kind of utilize here would be Rings of Power. So Amazon says, we want to do Lord of the Rings and Rings of Power. We do want this big old thing, and I guess it's a little bit different because they're buying the project and the product instead of the project and product being licensed through them. But similar but different. So similar but different. Stay with me here. It feels like where they said, okay, we're going to spend that 1.1 billion on Rings of Power and then lay out a 5-season deal, or not deal per se, but a 5-season plan. They spent all this money up front and said, okay, we have everything built out and prepared for these rest of the seasons. That sounds like what they want to do with Stargate. Say, hey, if you're going to do this, here's the fee, pay this fee, and we're going to build this. We're going to world build for you before the first season. So that first world, whenever you jump into it in your first season, in your TV film, whatever it may be, would be the most built out it can be and be the most beautiful, well-immersed world. Immediately help your actors, help your viewers, so on and so forth. Dive into it. Now, from Sony's perspective, they're saying, we like that. We want our world built out. Not saying we don't. But let's not put all of our eggs in this basket right now. Because obviously we can have kind of a mommy-daddy fight at some point, and this license thing might not go as well down the road. So, Sony's trying to buffer a little bit here and say, let's leave options on the table and not necessarily have all our eggs in one basket. Most of our eggs may be in that basket, but let's sprinkle an egg or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 here. And that way we're not just, we're not we're not going to screw ourselves by having all our eggs in one basket is what I'm trying to say there. Sorry, I started reading comments at the same time. Forgot what I was saying for a second. But so similar but different. Obviously, Rings of Power, they buy that and are planning out those 5 seasons of world building. Sony want to do it an opposite way, although Amazon and Prime seem like they would want to do it the way they're used to. Build out that world, have the sets, have the production designer and everything, all that laid out for the next few years. Here we go. We're ready. Sony says, hey, let's take which is the more traditional approach. Sony's trying to take the more traditional approach here. And I feel it very much in both ways where Sony, I get the buffer. If I were to be producing and presenting something, and I wasn't like 100,000% sure about it, that's what I would say. Which that also kind of makes me feel like Sony, I like the buffer because it makes sense from a business perspective, but also it doesn't necessarily say they have 100% confidence in this either. Where the world building out, getting a hefty fee up front, and then using that, and then having your standard fee throughout the season, so on and so forth, happen. That it feels Lord of the Rings, and I do respect Rings of Power for doing it. I feel like the way they did it originally, because they at least had all this money and said, we're going to film this. The way they didn't do it right was not filming season 2 alongside season 1, even season 3 alongside the first 2 seasons. Because if you're going to do that and build out that world like that, do what Lord of the Rings did. Build it out and then film all 3 movies together, or film the first 2 together and part of the third where the studio kind of has their hand forced and say, all right, just finish the 3rd movie and then we'll do this thing. That would have been great for Rings of Power as a show. I'd like that for Amazon and Sony to have that type of confidence in Stargate to say, all right, we're going to put our own investment in there and lay out this big hefty chunk of money, build out this world, and it's going to make us easier. It's going to make it easier to continue inside of this world the further we go. But I totally get it from Sony's perspective as well. It makes sense from a studio, from an executive saying, I want to make sure this is going to be okay before we truly jump into it. But hey, big question. Who's showing it? Amazon or Sony? Will it be available in the UK? Well, that's the thing. So Sony doesn't have a platform, and if inside of the things, I guess I said a little bit earlier, they said this is going to be a whole deal for probably multiple MGM IPs and franchises as well. So this would be Sony putting their products on Amazon Prime and MGM Plus. Not sure which products would go to, but there you go. It should be available in the UK as long as you got Amazon Prime and MGM Plus, and I'm pretty sure y'all do. It is always dicey, but I'm not positive. It should have been a 24-episode series, not 10. What are we talking about? But probably. Whatever it is, probably. MGM Plus. That's our most likely culprit here. Yeah. How would a new SG-1 series be renewed 20-plus years on? There are so many ways. So many ways. We've talked about them in a few different ways, a few different episodes of podcasts. And we can dive into that in a little bit if we'd like. I wonder about Sony. They're working a way to build their own platform for streaming, especially in the Far East. Well, that's what they're doing with MGM Plus. They're not really working on their own, and at least the Western world, I guess. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Interesting. UK pretty much will be Amazon for sure. Cool. MGM Plus, then turn to Prime. I would think it's honestly almost the other way around. Prime to MGM Plus. Or maybe MGM Plus for a year and then go on to Prime. Maybe not in as HD of quality or 4K, and maybe it's just an HD, whatever it may be. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Van Builds. Did someone say Stargate? Is there a new Stargate? Hoping, waiting. It seems like something may have just happened. We'll do a big recap at the end. But right now, how about we go ahead and jump on that timeline we were talking about? You could always regionalize this. Sony had broadcast rights in Asia, Amazon in Europe, and North America. Hey, that's true. That is very true as well. So this is really news or just another contact. I can't tell you who told me this. We told you 4 sources that we have corroborated the sentiment. And then a guy from MGM Plus, our guy that we talked to earlier, who is hopefully going to be able to do the stuff for San Diego Comic-Con, which, of course, didn't happen because they didn't announce, said indeed. So take that as you will, but Legacy Jackass, nothing is ever 100% confirmed until it happens. But seemingly things are going well, so that's a good thing for Stargate, and it makes us happy over here, and I hope it makes y'all happy too, because we all want more Stargate, baby. Launch the new SG-1 series premiere in theaters for a limited time. Please. They did that with Rings of Power. I saw Rings of Power, the first 2 episodes, in a movie theater, and it was way cooler in a movie theater than on my own TV screen. So please do that, especially if it's a grandiose scale, which would be cool. Any details around the direction of the new Stargate? No, none of that yet. We have to get into... I don't know if we have to get into the actual production aspect of things, but that script has not been shown out to the public just yet. Or even, it's probably in a lockbox somewhere with very, very, very minimal amount of eyes allowed to even look at it. So, not yet, but we'll keep you posted. Also, we're probably not going to try to spoil Stargate before it happens by any means. As much as we love rumors and scoops, I don't think we're ever going to try to spoil Stargate. We're too excited to do that. So, just to keep you posted on that aspect of things. New Stargate show and movie coming in 2034! Yeah. Here, 1 second. Clear my throat real quick, and I didn't want y'all to hear the nasty. So, TV movie with old characters and introduce new characters and then dump the old characters. Hopefully not dump the old characters. That would be a shame if they were to do it that way. I don't think Stargate was ever just dumping the old characters. Like, even an SGU, RDA, totally doesn't look like SG-1 RDA. He's gained a few pounds. He's definitely a little older looking by then. They don't just dump him. They're utilizing him. I'm hoping they don't do that. I'm hoping they continue to utilize the characters and just don't dump them. Are there any third-party streaming to entertain? I don't know. What is STE? Third party. Are there any third party streams to watch movies and series like 123 movies for free? Don't have to pay. Oh, I don't know, but I don't believe in those at all. I'm in the acting industry, and I know there are plenty of actors that even use them, but I totally did. I don't like that. I will never do that a day in my life. I did it a couple times as a kid. I hate 123 movies and all that kind of stuff. It's, hey, if you want to be a pirate, go be a pirate. Don't actually screw up other people's art and work. Like, that's thousands of people's art and work. It ain't just taking some gold and running with it, you know? It's BS. I do not like 123 movies. Anyway, off my soapbox there. Well, seems similar to Showtime, was 4-year exclusive, then syndication afterwards. I can see that. Did you say multiple Bond movies also as part of a bigger deal? It sounds like it could be. Allegedly, of course. That's what we will say. But yeah, that's what it seems like. And it'll be really, really freaking cool if that happens. Wormhole Extreme confirmed. Yeah, baby. That'd be cool. I would love that, Billy. That'd be. I want Wormhole Extreme as a Star Trek Prodigy or Star Trek Lower Decks. Obviously, I haven't seen them because I haven't dived into Star Trek just yet. Dove into Star Trek, excuse me. But Wormhole Extreme as a Stargate Infinity kind of thing, but sticks within the Stargate lore that actually makes sense, would be sick. Because Stargate Infinity was not that. That's the one Stargate thing I have not watched, and I would watch it. I just don't have that much of a desire to sit down and do that. That might be a fun little, like, stream thing to do after Star Trek. We might buffer Star Trek and Doctor Who with No Ordinary Family, not Wormhole Extreme, Stargate Infinity, and maybe even Farscape. And then we'll do that. That sounds like my next year and a half of watching TV with y'all. That'll be fun. I wonder if the script says Furlington in anywhere. LOL. I hope so. That'd be cool. It's just such a big open thing in the universe that we could still use that we don't know. We know next to nothing about. Like, come on. Well, year and a half through MGM Plus. Okay. That makes sense too. Stargate SG-1, 90210. Please, no. Are there any sets under construction? So this was Amazon using some of Sony's sets. It seems like there's always sets under construction. There are bits and pieces of sets under construction, under renovation, so on and so forth. But it seems like some of this that would help Amazon out is they can use some of Sony's sets that they already have. Oh, excuse me, not sets. I was thinking sound stages, studios, places to film. Sets under construction, totally not. No sets under construction just yet. There has to be something that's actually laid out, planned out. That deal has to be 100% signed. And it seems to be, but we're not 100% positive. Pretty positive. Only one source has been corroborating that information so far. So it is brand new information that we were able to get to y'all. But if that's signed, then this can start happening. The fees, if they're still kind of iffy about things because of the fees, might be pushed off a little bit. But if that was 100% and the deal is signed, we could be getting some stuff soon, which would be awesome. Rings of Power is still bad and jumps too much to be good. It's gotten a little bit better. I'll give it that. But I'm with you. I like the Tolkien things they're adding into it. I like the lore that's there. I don't like the way the writers are handling it necessarily. But anyway, conversation for another day. Stargate Academy 90210. Oh, no. Oh, no. So many stories to tell in Stargate. So freaking many. Carter would definitely end up running the SUC. Carter or Dr. Daniel Jackson. I still like the idea that there is, all right, we need the military, but we also need the civilian. And those two running that would be cool. I could also see Joe Flanagan's John Shepard running the SGC. I almost think that makes the most sense. And Carter would almost she'd be in a very high administrative position, but almost like your board of executives that don't have to answer to the main guy. Almost something like that, but for the science aspect of Stargate. That would make sense to me. She would definitely be running a large portion of it. And I think Michael Shanks's Dr. Daniel Jackson would as well. But John Shepard, pretty good choice, I think. I don't know. Pluto TV. Pluto makes sense. Limits on length. We don't know. When we get that information, we'll let you know. But no minds. No minds. Don't have an idea yet. Great mind, Secular Monk. There we go. They usually sign up for a Bond actor for 3 films. That sounds about right. We did talk about they're doing the trilogy of Young Bond, which Sarah and I talked about this past Wednesday on stream. There are ups and downs to doing that for sure on both ends. There are some high highs and some low lows on that. What's more likely to come out of this first, Bond or Stargate? Either or, both could make sense. There would be arguments to make for both. More likely to come out first if the deal goes through, I would say Stargate, because that seems like what the main part of this deal is about. Bond is, it very well may be first though, because here's the thought process: Sony doesn't necessarily want to make Bond. I might have to reread, or of course, if I didn't read that, or if I'm misremembering what I read a minute ago, correct me. But it seems like they just have the studio space for Amazon to make Bond stuff for, and would probably be utilized as like co-producers or the studio behind it alongside Amazon and MGM Studios, something along that kind of line. Which means Sony would be making Sony would be making the Stargate project, but not the Bond project, which means MGM and the Bond stuff over here could already have their own stuff going. If it's Aaron Taylor Johnson, if it's Renee Page, I always forget which way it goes. Something in that like area, they could almost come out simultaneously, which would be really good for MGM finally to have a couple things like that pushing forward. But is that a decent metaphor where this goes here, and they could kind of intersect and go along the same timeline if they'd like? Infinity. Yeesh. As Sony started making God of War for Amazon, you know what? That's one of the projects they have with it. That seems to be in development hell, and Mark Fergus does not seem to be happy about it. We've talked about that a little bit, I think, last Sunday. It seemed to be in development hell, which kind of sucks. But yeah, they're still slowly but surely pounding it out. Honestly, I feel like the Warhammer stuff may be more likely to come before the God of War at this point. Who knows? But that seems to be in a little bit of tricky development as well. Sounds amazing. Sounds Amazon needing time. Sounds Amazon needing time its own studio spaces. Yes, I think. Jane Bond 007. If they want to do that, that's okay. I wouldn't mind that if it's strictly a moniker. The weird thing about this young trilogy of James Bond that they're planning out is it would just be James Bond as a person before he becomes a commander and is in MI6 doing the whole James Bond aspect of stuff. The thing I don't like about that is it totally makes the guy's name James Bond, and James Bond and 007 aren't like a dual moniker, which would have made sense for all the different James Bonds. This doesn't necessarily make sense for all of them. Now it would be the James Bond, and I don't know if I like that idea so much. I don't think they would do the same thing with Jane Bond, but if they wanted to do like a spin-off, why not? As long as it's good, written well. That's the most important thing, first and foremost. But it would need to be written well. It will need to be written pretty damn well. Anyone here ever read audiobooks, the Atlantis books? I love audiobooks and reading, but I've not read the Atlantis books. I would like to, though. I wonder if there will be any SG-1 animated movies. That'd be really cool. A bunch of movies to kind of like fill in the gap. A bunch of animated films to bridge the gap from what we will be getting, hopefully, to where we have been and where we left off would be really cool to see. Could the Furlings end up being planet builders? It could make them seem overpowered. That would definitely make the Furlings seem overpowered. I don't know about them being planet builders, but they could take that route if they wanted to. Easy. That'd be kind of cool in their own way. Personally, I like them to be separate. And the Furlings not necessarily be villainous, but almost be villainous in a sense. And come back. That'd be cool. You seen MGM new studio? I have not. Didn't Jamie say they did spend money on production a while ago? They spent money on not like production itself, but producing the Bible for it. They started the early aspects of pre-production, not production itself, but pre-production. Yeah, if that makes sense. There's pre-production, production, post-production, pre-production, planning stages, all of that kind of stuff, getting everything laid out, figuring out the functionality of it all. Production is, of course, your actual filming, all that kind of stuff. Post-production, your VFX, animation, whatever needs to be going on afterwards. First and foremost, it's editing, of course, and actually putting and splicing your film together, your TV series together. But they did spend money on pre-production, at least a while back. I read somewhere recently was Stargate-related CGI work being done. I can't remember where. That would be really cool if it were. I don't know what it'd be about just yet, but if it happening, I'd be happy. Jerry, any good? I don't know. Jerry from Rick and Morty. I don't know. Oh, any good? Okay, you're talking to Jerry. I was like, from Rick and Morty. Stargate sitcom, bring it on. The only no, not the sitcom, Peter. You might make me do a Jamie and freak out about some Star Trek musicals. No sitcoms, please. But an animated, funny Wormhole Extreme would be cool. I'd be so down with that. But I don't know about a sitcom. Looks MGM Plus Disney Virtual Studio powered by Laws or AWS. I still have my Origins backer t-shirt. Hell yeah. Jenny! I literally wore Jenny Stivens like Cleo Consoles. That's one of my sleep shirts. Jenny, we need to get her on a good stream soon. Carter at Homeworld Command, Shepard at the SGC, Jackson as president. Yo! Dr. Daniel Jackson as president. That could be good because he would totally be part of the deep state. So it kind of raises questions for things, and it would be, okay, well, now this is released to the public. Do we trust the president? But also, is there somebody that's better for us right now to lead us that actually understands all of it? It would be that weird dichotomy of, well, we don't trust this guy at all, but we have to put all our trust in him. That could be really cool to see. Carter at Homeworld Command would be sick. Shepard of the SGC would be even sicker. And Jackson as president may be the sickest thing there. Frank, hell yeah. Would be interesting to see James Spader considered for Daniel Jackson again. I love me some James Spader, and he's only done the Blacklist for like the last 5 or 6 years, I think. He hasn't really had a single other credit outside of it. Give me Michael Shanks. I love James Spader, but give me Michael Shanks. And we technically have multiverse options where you could get both. That might be the only character I wouldn't mind something like that for. But also, just the mental gymnastics to make that happen would be a lot. And no gracias. Bond, I think Joe Flanagan has ruffled too many feathers. That's plausible. Hope not, but plausible for sure. If you have 2 hours, that's 20 hours of Stargate and 10 episodes. Okay. 20 hours plus hour and a half, 2 hours, closer to 22. Okay. Oh, and 10 episodes. Then that's way more than 30. That's 20, 40, 60, 62-ish hours. Good. Hey, thank you for doing that math for me because I was totally off. Oops. Thor Power, I think there's a lot of people that would agree with that sentiment. Hey, Chillin'. Howdy, Aaron. How you doing, man? If y'all don't know Chillin', y'all got to go check Chillin' out. Great guy. Stargate provides Sony with some gaming options, too. Big options. And Sony games tend to be great. Hey, my only request with that, Sony, is I know you own PlayStations. Do not make these PlayStation exclusives, or I will come over there and I'm going to be knocking on your studio every day. I was going to say I was going to burn it down, but that's bad and a threat, and I'm not doing that. Immediately take a step back on that one and say, I'm just knock on your door and annoy the hell out of you until you decide to make it a cross-platform game, if that's the case. Because Stargate Timekeepers, G Cubed is on our, I guess, main page. If you want to look at it and just subscribe, I haven't done anything with that channel in like a year. Oopsie daisy. But the last thing I really did on it was a Stargate Timekeepers review. I did not like Stargate Timekeepers. I had some very choice words for Stargate Timekeepers, and I will let you go figure out those words if you'd like, because that's not the way Stargate games should be made, especially with the lack of good, in-depth, fun story to go alongside. If Stargate was going to release a video game last year, it needed to be an open world game, or not necessarily an MMORPG. RPG would be fun. RPG would be really fun. It needed to be a lot larger in scope than a simple click and point. Let's go down. It's 2024. We don't do click and point games anymore. It's not 2006, yo. Come on. Like, come on. Anyway, off my soapbox again. The Atlantis Siege for 4 episodes is one story. Yeah, I think they're going to go the arc route a lot more. I think Andor is a really good show that has shown where arcs can, like, really... of course, you see House of Dragon, Game of Thrones, all these other big prestige television shows do that. I think Stargate should try to bridge the gap between fun and prestige, because I think there is a way you can do both. And with the way Stargate Universe ended, that is... I mean, technically, SGU as a whole is prestige TV, is the way it's filmed and the way it's handled and treated and kind of understood. I think that would be cool to have those arcs be more the way the story's told, and but also have the monster of the week. I don't think there's a way you can do it all. It's hard, much harder. But please, can we try? Can we just try? So Jamie's saying, we know bits about what was planned before. The SG-1 reboot was the original direction, but a direction, a sense of what the show's tone might be is impossible to say until we have a showrunner. Very much so. The SG-1 reboot, which kind of does involve SGA if Stargate Atlantis, if the Atlantis city itself is still either on the on the planet itself or on the moon, which means, you know, they're probably doing something from Homeworld in the U.S. somewhere and coordinating everything. I still think SGA would be the best place to re-hop back on, just to hop back onto. But yeah, SG-1 reboot is that general direction, which would be fun to freaking see. Just give us the goodness. The dreaded prequel idea for Bond. Yeah, that dreaded for damn sure. At least a young Bond will have his liver intact. That's true. We all know that Stargate ends up being BattleTech. Well, everything ends up being BattleTech, you know? Or is BattleTech a show? I don't know what that is. Unless Infinity isn't canon. Infinity isn't canon. Oh, is that a BattleTech and Infinity reference? Because Infinity is not canon. And I don't think it ever technically was either, which is probably a good thing. But I would still like to watch it just for the sake of it, I guess. Each Star Trek series will inevitably reflect the culture of time in which it was made. Yeah, that sounds about right. Hey, yeah, David. I think it'd be cool. Jamie and I have talked about this a few times. I think Stormy and Matt have talked about it with us. Like, it's cool. It'd be really cool. I love the idea of that. Tapping might be retired. I don't know. No. She's not retired. She's working. I think Amanda Tapping as the General Hammond character would be great. I agree with that as well. I do agree with that. I just feel like she's better in the sciencey aspect. She doesn't let herself get out of the lab. I don't know if she would want that role. You know, where I think Shepard does make more sense there. I love her in that role as well. I think Shepard would make more sense ultimately there. Or even Cam. Ben Browder's Cam. Like, Cameron would be great for that. We'll see. Young Bond to me seems bad. It would be compared to Kingsman films. I think that's exactly what they're trying to do. Like, I get emulating something that's working, but you don't have to, like, if they go that style, I'm done. I don't know if I'm gonna ever say I'm done with Bond, but that would make me at least want to, you know. The game-based series don't work. You need to read more sci books, guys. Okay. Comment books. I need to don't comment in here because it's hard to see with all this, but comment on the actual, video itself, not the live stream chat, and tell me which books we should read. And y'all check it out, and I'll check it out. All I can say about Stargate comic. Rodney. Okay. Let's get down here. Let me catch up. I know I'm like 20, 30 chats behind here. Here we are. I know Jamie said a few things. Way too dumb. Said Carter could be head of Ministry of Science in the Towery Federation. Kind of. Oh, yo, I like that idea. Ministry of Science, Dr. Daniel Jackson, or she could be Minister of Science, the head of the Ministry of Science, which could be the like stationed in Stargate Homeworld. And I like Frank's thing earlier where, Dr. Daniel Jackson's the president, and what was the other one? Why am I blanking? Carter. Was it Shepard is the other one? Shepard was SGC. That's right. Shepard was SGC. That's right. That'd be cool. Shanks always looks pissed off at Stargate convention. He'd rather be somewhere else, but does them for the money. Hey, well, if he has actual material to be acting on again, I think he'll be happy. I think so. And he's just that dude's voice is just great to listen to. I love James Spader's voice, but Dr. Daniel Jackson's voice feels like it needs to be a little lighter than that Ultron kind of scary Blacklist voice, you know? I played the Stargate MMO beta. That was the last I heard of Stargate games. Oh, really? When was that? When is that happening? Homeworld-based series that really good because we need more battles. And yeah, we do. Last year's Stargate game was so boring. It was like, Timekeepers was just not in the same tone as the show. Not at all. Like the point and click just killed me. Like you can't be in 2023 at the time and think point and click is going to be something that garners attention and excitement for your IP. It's blatantly stupid. A Stargate game needs to be fast paced and fun. Very much so. Oh, I know we've talked to the Hounds Go Home about this one, Andy, but I could jump back on it at any point because that game, I played, I think 4 or 5 hours of it. I didn't finish the first mission. I did. I went on to the second or third mission, but the first mission I think took me like 2.5, 3 hours. It made you bang your head up against the wall. And it wasn't enjoyable in doing so either. You know, it kind of sucks. Yep, we still make point and click games, but there's a lot more to that game than you and Matt did. Yeah, sure. And there's a place for those. There's still a place for point and click. But if you're trying to excite a fan base again, that was the very last thing that they should have done. The very last thing. It was like Marquez Brownlee putting out a wallpaper app 10 years after reviewing all this tech and saying how stupid, or 10, 12, 15 years after reviewing all this stuff and saying, this is bad, this is not good, this is great, this is it. And then the app you finally put out is a wallpaper app. Like, I get that it's a niche thing, but, you know, it's the same kind of thing where that's so niche. That's not what you start with. Like, if you want to do Stargate video games, you start with something that gets a large group of people on there, and then they're so invested in that lore. Then you have a point-and-click game where they're like, hey, you know what? This isn't something I would usually play, but because I love the lore so much, I'm going to do it. It shouldn't have been the first video game they announced. Even though we love the lore so much, it's frustrating enough as a game that it's just not worth continuing in. I'm sure there's a lot more in there. And I'm not poo-pooing any of the people that created the game either. I just think their time would have been better spent doing a game that would have been worthwhile for the fandom. Anyway, how many folks read Kindle Stargate books starting? I did not, but I would love to. Okay. We have to remember that if Sony do get a license agreement, they could go totally different direction to anything previously planned. Very true, which isn't the worst thing in my mind because, you know, they did do seasons 3 and 4 of, or either 2 or 3 or 3 or 4 of Stargate Atlantis. And the fact that they have Stargate Atlantis under their repertoire technically already, maybe that be the avenue they take. Okay. This just thought popped into my brain. Probably totally wrong, and I hope totally wrong. Furlings think they are the good guys, like a Thanos deal. That's what I'm in. I'm in. You got me. Okay, but back to this thought real quick. If the hard reboot happens, and Sony is at the helm of the hard reboot, like I just said, we have precedents for Sony and Stargate. They either did seasons 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 of Stargate Atlantis. So Stargate Atlantis might be kind of their wheelhouse and what they would like to kind of push again. If we got a hard reboot, what if we started with Atlantis? Would y'all like that or prefer, like, if obviously we don't want the hard reboot. If we were to get the hard reboot, though, instead of starting with SG-1, or maybe SG-1 finds Atlantis and we bridge the gap. Does that sound decent? There would definitely be stories to be told like that. I don't know if I like the idea. It just popped in my brain, and I thought I'd say it out loud, Don't know if I love the idea, but definitely could have some interesting stories to be told from that, Samantha Carter as president. That'd be cool. Oh, that's not possible. I'd love for it to be, but I don't think that's possible. A Bond before he became 007 would still be in his late 20s. Only reason to do it is that it hasn't been done before. Yeah, so, okay. Sarah and I did talk about this on Wednesday's podcast as well. The only way that I'm happy they do it like this is if I wouldn't even want this to be a movie. I guess they could do it as a movie. I think it would be better as a season of TV if they're going to do Young Bond. And I would still want it to be a moniker. I would want these characters to be their own characters and then get the moniker of James Bond and then get the moniker of 007. Maybe when you're promoted to commander and they know they're going to push you in this area, they're going to say, all right, he's James Bond for right now. And it's a separate moniker. Maybe we don't know how exactly, but maybe it's a separate moniker than 007. And then we could have an anthology series or an anthology series of films, whichever avenue they do take, of this is young Sean Connery, this is young Pierce Brosnan, this is young Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, George Lazenby, so on and so forth, Daniel Craig, whoever we go with next. That would be kind of fun if they were able to do it in an anthology kind of sense. But alas, we will see. We will see. I don't expect them to do that, but we will see. Science books are what you read after a side trek. Hey-oh, side books. Damn right. I have been a Bond fan for years. Please don't do this. I'm with you, Bill. I am with you, man. Tapping may have died. Depends on when story gets picked up and if the timeline hasn't changed. Carter may have died. You scared me there, David. I was like, Amanda Tapping is alive. Yeah. Amanda Carter. Samantha Carter. It's possible. It's possible. Hopefully not. It's possible. I wouldn't like that route. But, and even if she's not available for whatever the scheduling conflicts could arise and could be early on in this series, why not just push her down the road a little bit? Say, hey, Commander Carter's doing this way over here. Captain, whatever it is, General Carter's doing this way over here. And then we can finally get her down the road whenever Amanda Tapping's schedule frees up. That would be the proper way of doing it, I would think. I would hope. Stargate Bond crossover is what I'm hoping for. Shepard, head of the SGC. A commander in the Navy. For who? Commander in the Navy. Excuse me, for Bond, of course. Would be cool if they would finally make Carter and O'Neill a thing as well. Yes and no. Mostly yes. I say yes. Legally Blonde SG-1 crossover is the dream, of course. Wasn't the MMO around 2008? I don't know. I didn't really learn Stargate until probably 4 or 5 years ago now, and now I'm head over heels for it, but I'm a late bloomer for Stargate, Now cast me in that sucker and let me be frickin' Erisbach the third or Junior or the fourth, whatever frickin' timeline we're going with. But hire me as Sam Jones' kid's kid or kid's kid. And I am, come on. I want to so bad because I am an actor as well. So come on, y'all. Come on. They go the Rings of Power route, shipping off the week. Gould just want their home. Huh. The MMO was like 2010 and it never launched. Oh, okay, never actually launched. Well, that's a frickin' shame. Was the beta fun at least? Donnie, how you doing, man? I hope everyone is well on this final Sunday of September, despite the passing of Dame Maggie Smith. Rest in peace. That's just, it's so sad. A year after Michael Gambon, like to the day. It's a shame. It's really sad. She's phenomenal in so many different things. I can't think of, is it The Lady in the Van? Something like that. She had a movie in her very last years where she was just kind of a lady in a van, like kind of like a semi-homeless lady in England, just living in a van, going back and forth all these different places, and it was great. Just a small little indie film, but just great. Rest in peace. It's a strategic game. You have to think about your move. Sometimes it's better than just blasting everything in sight. No, David, blast everything's more fun. Star Trek it. Make the game pretty, no story, and blast everything. I love strategy games. I like strategy games that are exciting, not strategy games that are boring. It was just boring. There's nothing about it that's not boring. Strategy games are great. Like you go play Mass Effect, there's a lot of strategy that has to go in that. I mean, like I play Magic the Gathering every now and then. Like that's very strategic. Strategy is great. There are ways to make strategy fun, and it feels like they went out of their way to make the strategy boring, which sucks. First-person shooter. Because I do agree with David that I wanted to have some like chutzpah to it, but like I don't know. Yes, but make it good. Stargate in the vein of like a Far Cry would be really, really fun, but I don't know if there's as much of a taste for that as we would like because that Avatar's Frontiers of Pandora game, I never played it, but everything I've seen gameplay-wise and heard from people that I know that have played it say it's good, but it's Far Cry on Pandora with Avatar people instead of Far Cry stuff. So I don't know if there's like a taste for it because people have kind of poo-pooed it a little bit in that sense. So we'll see. Speaking of crossovers, I'm hoping for a Power Ranger Star Trek comic book crossover. I came up with a petition at change.org. Hey, if y'all would like that, go support our boy Donnie, who's everywhere. If you like sci-fi and follow YouTubers, I love me some John Campea. I love me some Robert Meyer Burnett, all these different people. No matter who it is, this dude's in their channel, helping, supporting them, doing cool stuff. He's a big fan of fandom. We might as well support our boy Donnie. Give us a link if you don't mind, Donnie. Go check out that petition. See if we can get Power Rangers and Star Trek together. Not necessarily my two favorite franchises in the world, but I'll go support and sign that because why not? That'd be cool to see. It opens the realm of possibilities to a lot of different little things. Oh, God. If these games are so boring, why are they still releasing them? Next year there's a new Commandos game, and let's not forget about Desperados 3. All the same type of game as Timelines. Because they can get suckers in buying them. That's it. They get suckers buying them. Simple as that. And it's suckers because it's not people asking for better games. That's it. The bad thing about the people that are willing to buy this type of game nowadays, if it's not a game that's almost a spin-off of something else that's come before it, it's they're suckers. I don't like to say it that way, but those games are legitimately boring and not good, and the people that herald them are not asking for better games, which sucks because they need better games. We got to hold them to a standard, Same thing, like if Stargate sucks whenever it comes out, the TV show, I'm not going to love doing it, but we got to hold them to the standards, We're going to say this isn't quality. We would rather quality. If you're going to only do one game, that's not the game to release, But anyway, if Sony do a hard reboot, we must all throw out all of our Sony TVs and headphones. Yeah. I'm already a Bose person anyway, I think. I don't know. I don't think my headphones are Bose anymore. I don't know. But I got Samsung TVs, so technically I'm already supporting their rival. Sorry, Sony. But yeah, don't do a hard reboot, please. But if you were to do a hard reboot, what would you think about the Atlantis situation? Would you think that Atlantis would be the best place to jump off for a hard reboot? Yay, nay? How do we feel? What do we feel? Let me know. Sony Picture Television used to co-produce SG-1 and Atlantis alongside MGM Television, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Was it for all 5 seasons? Because I think it was only for like 2. And I don't remember if it was seasons 2 and 3 or seasons 3 and 4. Those are the ones sticking in my brain for some reason. It could have been all 3. It could have been all 5. It would be really cool if it were, because then that is some good precedence. Really, Spin. Hard reboot. I'm kind of over the race. It'll just be a rerun of the same thing. That's what I feel like with the Gould. I love the Gould, and there are ways to do that, but I feel like the Wraiths are just naturally a better villain. And they have a much more, not necessarily intricate society, but their society's more stable in a lot of ways, and you can play with that a lot. Obviously, there are some Wraiths that want to take out a lot more humans. There are some Wraiths that say, hey, we should not be taking out as many humans because that is our food source. Not necessarily our only food source, but our damn best food source. You want some caviar? I want some caviar. You want a steak? I want a steak. That's humans. We can't eat them all the time, or we're just gonna start getting hamburgers. Something like that. There's my Texas metaphor for you. What about starting from Alteran's universe, going to Atlantis, and then eventually end up at SG-1? That'd be weird and interesting, possibly in the best ways ever. I like that, but also don't know if I want that. If they're going to do a hard reboot, that would be an interesting route to take. Howdy, Tony. How you doing? Moniker like C or M. Interesting. Well, yeah, James Bond. I would think James Bond would be a moniker like C or like M or Q, whoever, so on and so forth. Sean Connery was 32 when he first filmed Bond. We have a young James Bond. Sure, that's yeah. But like, it would be him becoming James Bond. It would be getting to the point of commander in the Navy, going to MI6. My number one overall Bond pick is Dr. No. My number one Bond, the late Sir Sean Connery. Connery's my favorite Bond as well. I do really like Timothy Dalton, and I like Daniel Craig for an action hero sense. I think Timothy Dalton's probably my Bond that gets close to Connery a lot of the time. I like me some Roger Moore as well. And I actually do like Lazenby. Brosnan, I like Brosnan. It's just campy 90s, though. It's not amazing to me. But yeah, I like that. I'm pretty close with you there. Dr. No's amazing. Hey, folks, wishing all have a great International Translation Day. Have a wonderful National Mud Day. Ayo, International Translation Day. Maybe we got some AI translating me to different cultures across the globe right now. That'd be cool. Because I think YouTube's kind of rolling that out slowly. But a National Mud Day. Go jump in some mud. I love some mud. Mud's great. Go get some mud between your toes. That sounds fun. Anyone in SG-1 could have got cancer from all that wild stuff. Oh, they could totally be dead. And Samantha died in an alternate timeline. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I wouldn't love it, but they could make it make sense very easily. Until next time, Monday night. Hey, see you, Rose. Would Earth be a post-scarcity society when the Stargate is made public? No, not even remotely. Like that. No, that would make no sense at all. Mostly because we have the Stargate. We have spaceships. We can go tap infinite planets worth of resources. We're not running out of resources ever if we have a Stargate. So yeah, we're all fine. James Bond Stargate is the crossover we need. I don't know. Elizabeth isn't dead. She's frozen in a replicator body. Yes, but I don't think anybody from SG-1 or SGA, anybody on the teams or in the overarching SGC in general, would let anybody that's a replicator come back and be a president of the United States. So as much as I would have loved like OG Elizabeth Weir as president, even if it's her and her memories right now, hell no. I mean, big ol' hell no. But for that reasoning, But I would like to see Elizabeth Weir come back. She would be cool. Honestly, Elizabeth Weir could have been leading some kind of stuff. Maybe she's helping. It's not the Vanook. What are the Asgard and Pegasus again? The Veneer. Maybe the replicators, to a degree, and the Veneer are working together to kind of hold off the Wraith, and that's what's really been going on in the Pegasus. Why we haven't been able to, or not, why we haven't felt the need to go back is maybe they have a better hold on it than we ever expected. Maybe they both have taken pages out of humanity's book, and they're like, well, they're able to hold off in just a few more years more than we've been able to do in decades, if not centuries, if not millennia. So maybe that could be a cool way of doing that. I don't know. I'm in. I like that idea. Carter's in D.C., Daniel Jackson's in charge of Atlantis, Shepard's in charge of Stargate Command, McKay's in charge of Area 51. That would be cool, too. All of these sound freaking cool in their own ways. I'm a fan of them all. Carter runs SGC, but Kindle books bring Elizabeth Weir back. None of those are canon. I think they're canon adjacent. It's like Star Wars books where, yeah, they're canon. and then something in a movie or a TV show will change that book, and it's like, well, it was canon, and it's mostly canon. Just take out the part where this person died, and now this character's over here in this show, or whatever it may be, however they change it, so on and so forth. It's like canon adjacent, I guess. The 2010 Stargate MMO beta was super laggy and buggy and crowded, and the combat was kind of weird, but you could dial the gates. Yeah, James Earl Jones ripped. So many icons have passed recently. It's sad, man. There's a VR SGC on VR chat. You can walk through it. Yo, Frank, that sounds cool. Renew Power Rangers 4 Season 31. Wow. Will we ever get closure for SGU? I hope so, Nairo. I hope so, man. I really do. Hey, that'd be cool. I do want to see Clone Jack. I want to see Clone Jack in a big way. I don't remember the actor's name, but I think that young actor, or the actor that played young Jack, could come back and do it. I don't think he necessarily looks 100% like RDA, but looks close enough. Would probably be willing to build out a little bit of bulk. Doesn't need a whole bunch of bulk, just enough bulk. And, get back into the mannerisms of some RDA. It would be really cool to see. Was the first episode of Season 3 SGU filmed? I don't believe so, because they were canceled. So, yeah, I don't think so at all. It would be cool if it were, and I would love that footage if we could find it, if so. But, yeah, I don't believe so. Or use the clone Jack that the Asgard created. We have options. We got options. Hail R&B. Hail John Campia. Hell yeah. They're both great. Hey, R&B ever wants to come on here and talk some Stargate or Star Trek, tell them to come hang out, Same thing with Campia. I just don't think John Campia likes to go on other channels all the time. It'd be cool if he did. Sorry, I started reading this message. No hairs. They went out of their way to make you think we would all love a Bethesda Stargate game like Starfield, but enjoy what's available. They didn't. No, that didn't go out of my way to make me think at all. That bad quality things trying to guise themselves as good that's not that at all whatsoever. I like my brain thinking. That is very much. That's why I went to go see Megalopolis twice this week, which we should talk about in a moment. That game's simply not. No, it's sorry. Agree to disagree on that one, because that game is shite in every sense of the term. And it was completely wrong for Stargate and Amazon to ever say this is going to be the right video game to toss out there. It was wrong for the fan base, wrong for the franchise, wrong to ever make that game, and it's the wrong type of game. It just is. It's false. Sorry. It's just. If this were true, people would be loving it and playing it right now. It's simply not. Stargate has a smart fan base. One of our all favorite characters is Rodney McKay. Another one we keep bringing up over and over is Samantha Carter. All these people. I mean, even your tough, your punchy guys, RDA, your Jack O'Neills and your John Shepards are Mensa people. And then Dr. Daniel Jack. This entire fan base loves smart things. None of us like the game. It's stupid and it's bad, man. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to tell you. Off the soapbox. Moving on. Stargate Timekeepers should never been made. Anyway, it will end up being Rings of Power, Acolyte, and so on. I hope not. A Stargate game in the likes of Red Dead Redemption 2. That'd be cool. There's ways to do that. I think that's the most plausible type of game to have come out and the most fun. But I do want something to make me think, and they can make that happen inside of that type of game. That's what they should focus on. Speaking of Star Trek, if Kurtzman, whom I neither hate nor trust, leaves that IP for good, then I'm fine whether or not Prodigy and Strange New Worlds would continue. See, I haven't started any of that, and I really don't have an opinion one way or another. Sorry, I just read that. And then whether or not Prodigy and Strange New Worlds would continue. I don't know either, and I don't really have an opinion either way. I don't think I would really care either, just from the way people talk about it, Yes, let's go ahead and jump on to some Megalopolis and Wild Robot. But I was laughing. I had no sucker fool. Uh, did that not make sense though? Like, obviously not. You're a huge fan of Stargate, and you want Stargate to be good, and you want it to, so you're making it good in your brain. I don't blame you for that at all. It makes sense. It just wasn't. The game was for suckers. It's just sorry. It was, uh, have you ever seen IGN rate anything? Go back and look at IGN rating anything. I wouldn't trust an IGN rating in the last decade. Anyway, I just had to scroll down because I was like, I didn't know he said something about. Okay, where were we? What are your thoughts on Megalopolis? How did they do the live part of it? I haven't gotten any live parts. I've seen it twice and I haven't gotten a live part of it yet. I want a live part so bad. It sounds cool. Sounds kind of silly, but cool in its own way too. And I like that interactive aspect of it. Yeah. But thoughts on it? Okay. Clear my throat real quick. Taking a nice little sip of water here. It's not for everyone. It is good though. It's not necessarily. I think it's great because of the things it's trying to say. The movie is messy, purposefully messy. I think it's one in 5 years we're really going to look back on and think of as this amazing project. But it is totally not for everybody, and it's totally weird and by definition messy as well. But it asks such big questions and does so in a great way, in a way that we're used to hearing without used to hearing. So that's why I've had people walk out of both theaters, both times. I had one person walk out of the first movie and one person walk out of it the second time I saw it as well. And I don't get it. I guess people have preconceived notions of what they want it to be and what they think it will be. Just thinking Apocalypse Now and Godfathers and all these different things. And it's not that. The closest thing it's not, okay, this is not right. But yes and no. I think he handles it better. Obviously, it's not in the Star Wars world, so there's not all that kind of stuff to jump on top of it. But it is kind of an opera in the same sense like Star Wars is a space opera. This is just a new age sci-fi fable that happens to be told in the tone of an opera. And the dialogue is similar to the way George Lucas handled the dialogue from the prequels, which is very purposeful, but can be clunky and a little it throws people off. And I think that's one of the reasons people jump out of the theaters. If you're willing to sit for Shakespearean dialogue, because it feels Shakespearean, it feels like someone on stage for a play in a film. Remember earlier, whenever we were talking about where TV changed from kind of like rompy, like, hey, how you doing, guys, to a much more like prestige TV where you're trying to feel natural and you're like, hey, how you doing, guys? And it's not like, well, my weekend was great. How was yours, Sharon? It's, hey, Sharon, how was your weekend? Yeah, mine was good too. You know, something like that. That kind of is where we're getting onto it. Megalopolis is the older Audrey Hepburn, Marlon Brando type of acting, more so than that intricate. And Marlon Brando does kind of bridge the gap to your more naturalistic acting, but it's more that old Dick Tracy and stuff like that kind of stuff. Not actually that, but you know, the way it's spoken, the dialogue is spoken, so on and so forth. But I want to see the live part so bad. So okay, it is messy. Overall, I think it's a really good thing. Great film in its own way. It needs to be watched, I think, more than once to understand. I don't think it needs to be watched necessarily a whole bunch more times. Maybe I will go watch it a third time and, maybe I should go watch it again too and get another thing. But I didn't feel like I got a whole lot more out of it necessarily the second time. I just understood what it was trying to tell me more because I knew what to look for and I knew what was happening. So it was like, let me pay attention to the dialogue a little bit better, especially the translated parts. There are theaters where they do not translate the, I was about to say Roman, the Latin. Of course, we all know some Latin phrases. None of us, I don't think, know enough Latin to understand the film whenever it starts speaking that. So go to a theater that has that translation on there. Mine, the second time around, was, and that was great because I knew what was happening, of course, from that first go round. But the second go round was like, all right, I would like to know what they're actually saying, and then they were actually able to, tell me what's going on, which was nice. So yeah, I did enjoy it. Honestly, for Stargate, I just want the Gate anthology again, like SG1. Just give me something. Okay, let me scroll back down. I know I missed a whole bunch, but let me catch back up to where we are real quick. Timothy Dalton was the best Rassilon. Is that a Star Trek thing? Excuse me. A continuation with SGA as the launch pad would be the way I would do it. The Wraith have been dealt with, but now the problem is the Janai. The Janai would be a huge problem, for sure. And I think that if the Wraith is still something to be dealt with, and we're going with like the replicators and maybe the Veneer are helping keep the Wraith back, the Janai would be their probably most prevalent human helpers and allies, because they would probably have to ally with each other at that point. Maybe they wouldn't, because the Janai are not all that trusting. But they want that technology that both the replicators and the Asgard have, the Veneer. So maybe that would be really cool if they were allied up against them, and totally, by the time we're back, the Janai are arguably more technologically capable than we are as a species, or as a galaxy part of our species. That could definitely change some stuff up and be really cool and interesting. There's so many cool ways to do it. Let's just start off, y'all, and let's figure out how to do it. And if Amazon signed this deal with Sony, we might be starting, which would be great. Okay. The people of the Ori are still out there. That's very true. And nobody does better than Daniel. I love some Daniel. Rassilon is Tectuan, by the way. Tectuan? That sounds like Hawk Tua's cousin or something. What is Tectuan? I don't know. Let's remember that there's a Star Trek Dominion soldier race in Pegasus. Wraith could be wiped like snakeheads. I guess I don't know what Star Trek Dominion soldier is. But okay. Wraith could be, that'd be interesting. From Russia with Love was my favorite Bond movie. Hey, that's a great one. Stuff. Comes back human. You could have a robot. Oh, yeah. We won't jump into politics just right now. Memory is beta. Okay, it's all canon until they fire the cannon. Yeah. Campion said he was retiring after the new Superman movie. Is that like his actual day that he set? Really? Huh. Well, that's when I need old M Cube to really boost up. Because I'd like to do some stuff, not necessarily the exact same way he does it. I do like that Sports Center kind of style for film talk and TV talk. I have some other plans though, and the more we grow over here, the more I might be able to help other places grow, which is cool. So yeah, we'll figure that out slowly but surely. But that's interesting. I might have to plan a little bit for that. And cool. Speaking of Power Rangers, today marks a year since Cosmic Fury debuted on Netflix. Sure, it left Power Ranger fans divided, but it remains my number one streaming show of 2023, leading the final seasons of both High School Musical series. Oh, cool. Yeah, I know some people that like the High School Musical stuff, but I didn't jump into that. The old movies I grew up with, but not that series. But cool. Yeah. I like that Power Rangers still kicking strong like that. Stargate comedy. No. Stargate mod has the potential to redeem Starfield. I still like Starfield for what it is. It's not as, I guess, in-depth as it feels. It's more in-depth, arguably, and less in-depth than Skyrim and Fallout. But, yeah, a Stargate mod would be awesome. Those Star Trek and Star Wars mods are awesome with it. A Stargate mod would be even freaking cooler. And if and when they bring Stargate back, it would be great to learn more about the race and SGU literally built an entire solar system. Yeah, in a big way. In a big way. The planet builders, yeah. I'm bored with fisticuff action. Hey, yeah. We need something like... okay, need is a strong term, but it would be nice to have something... We don't need the prestige level of TV that Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon is, but it would be nice to have that level of... This is the political intrigue that's going on, and there's a lot of political intrigue that's going on in the galaxy. Pegasus Galaxy, Milky Way Galaxy, so on and so forth. Ori Galaxy. We've got a big old trifecta of stuff going on. Maybe even more than that. We got the planet builders and then the SGU doing all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot to go through. Plus, the fisticuff action. So we got the political intrigue plus the action. That would be nice. But yeah. Oh God, back to this. I don't. I'm not saying it from my own personal opinion. I'm saying it from the fan consensus and Stargate fan consensus. Anyway, but yeah, it's mega flopping, which sucks because it is good. It's weird. It's super weird, but it's good. It's good, I promise. In its own weird Shakespearean operatic kind of way, it is weird. You just have to almost don't put any kind of preconceived notion on Megalopolis before going to check it out. None whatsoever. Walk in with an empty brain. That's all I can say, and then learn, or not necessarily learn, but ask the questions to yourself. The questions it asked you, I think, would be a really cool thing. And it's the second time I left the theater, it felt like I had just gone to the gym for my brain, and I was just talking to myself in my own head for like an hour. I was just like, self, what about this part of the movie? And stuff like that. It was interesting. I really enjoy the film. It's weird, totally not for everybody, but I think everybody could get something really good from it and something special from it if they ask themselves the questions that the film asked them. But yeah, I think those are generally my thoughts about Megalopolis. I think I don't want to like spoil anything because it is still the first weekend. But yeah, Wild Robot, we should talk next because Wild Robot is so damn good. They should get Seth MacFarlane to showrun Star Trek. Orville was insanely good. Hey, he's just so busy. He's too busy. As much as that'd be cool, too busy. Amazon needs a good first-person game. Agreed. Just watch AZ from Heel. Interesting. I don't know. Heel versus Babyface. They're okay. I don't. Yeah. I do enjoy Critical Drinker and Star Wars Theory and some of those folk. Mahler's very good because he's in depth and has good in-depth opinions and explains why he has them. I don't believe grifter is the right term to use for a lot, but rage baiting happens a lot within that type of community. And, shit, we reacted to the Acolyte and it wasn't positive reactions, but that's because we're being honest. But we didn't rage bait per se. And, that I don't necessarily, I'm not saying or claiming they do all the time. It's just not what I'm interested in, Now, if I'm going to go have a conversation over there and they ever invite me, I'm 1,000% in. But, I'd rather talk about what I'm positive on, and I'll be honest about what I'm not positive on, but, don't get hung up on it, Say, hey, this is a better way to do it, or would be a better way to do it from what I can see, from my opinion, or what you've laid out and given us, and so on and so forth. Anyway, thought-provoking films tend to last. I agree. Closest thing you'll get to a conclusion to SGU is to watch the graphic novel on YouTube. I enjoyed it. Any new Stargate, I believe the creators will want to separate themselves from expectations. Interesting. Same thing with Star Wars. I don't know if they're going to end up going alongside those comics and all the books. It'd be nice if they did, but I just don't think so. Are we working towards another 4-hour live stream? No, Michael. I don't know. I got things to do. I wish. But I cannot, alas. But I'll go 2. Obviously, we're right at 2. We'll go a little bit over 2. We'll talk about Wild Robot, and then I'll just give you my list of what I've seen this week. And y'all tell me if there's any other cool things y'all have watched this week, since it's just just me and all y'all, me and you, So let me know. But yeah, Star Wars Gate Trek crossover. I don't know. There are ways you can make it work. But actually, it doesn't work just because of Stargate. Stargate already has Star Wars and Star Trek references, which means those are squarely films and TV series, mostly, I guess, at the time, films in their universes. So it doesn't work that way, sadly. But Stargate Galactica, Battlestar Galactica crossover, I don't know I can't speak Battlestar Galactica lore very well. That seems more plausible to me, at least. I don't know. Open Stargate Command, unscheduled off-world activation. The Iris is torn apart by a blue beam, and Luke Skywalker steps through the gate. Meanwhile, why did I read it as Captain Planet as first? But Captain Picard. Make it so. Doctor Who. Doctor Who. Ah, I see. I see. That's the Timothy Dalton reference, I guess. Catman. Hey, I'm a dog man, but hey, dogs are expensive, so I go with the cheap route. And I do love me some cats as well. Growing up with cats, so they're great. Not as lovable and affectionate, but she comes up and gives me good hugs every now and then. An accurate Doctor Who reference. Uh-huh. Do you think Megalopolis would be better received if it had come out 20 years ago as opposed to now? No. And I think the Star Wars prequels are the perfect example for that. Now we've had time to digest that type of Shakespearean dialogue that's not like your typical dialogue, you know? Yeah, I think that would have been roped into the prequels sucking. I think maybe now the people that grew up with that kind of stuff, or even the people that were more prepared and ready for that type of film or way they spoke in the film, those folks would love it. I'd probably grow up loving Megalopolis. Same thing like Apocalypse Now or Godfather or anything of the sort. I don't think it would have been actually it really would have been interesting because it's very CGI heavy in a few different ways nowadays. I would have loved to have seen how he would have done it back then, but I don't think so. I think it'd be about the same. I mean, Godfather wasn't even well received initially. Apocalypse Now wasn't well. A lot of Francis Ford Coppola films are not well received initially, and then the test of time stands, and the man is fantastic. So. We'll see. We'll see. I really like that he sold his winery and showed people in this crazy state, in this crazy industry that, hey, maybe the studios and unions and all these kind of places that what's the word I'm looking for? Monopoly. That have a monopoly and a stranglehold on the industry and make it just about impossible for anybody else that just wants to make a film and not have to just be grabbed, for lack of a better metaphor, grabbed by the balls and yanked alongside to do it, led by the balls to do something. It'd be nice. I think a lot of the studios and a lot of this upset is because studios are mad that he said, you know what, maybe you don't have $140 million like I do. Maybe you don't have a winery to sell, but maybe you have something else to sell and you can make a $30,000 film or a $300,000 film or a $15 million film. Because we saw what $15 million does with Godzilla -1. Excuse me, $13 million, where Monarch couldn't even do that with $15 million episodes of TV. Their movie cost less to make. Ended up making good cash back, great cash back, and looked amazing. Won an Oscar for looking as good as it did and being as good as it was. There are ways to do it well. And I think Gareth Edwards coming onto this Jurassic Park movie, this new one, is going to be really cool. I really want to set some time apart to talk about that as well. The Jurassic stuff I'm excited about. I didn't think I would be excited about after Dominion, but Spielberg, Mahershala Ali, Scarlett Johansson, Rupert Fiend, all these different people, and not just in, but heralding Jurassic Park forward. Hey, I'm happy. I shall see Megalopolis when it debuts on home media and streaming. That's probably what most people would do. If you want to support the industry, the best way to go do it right now is to go not see any other movie, go see Megalopolis. That is easily the best way to support the film industry right now because that supports the people and not just the big studio heads and execs. Hey, well, it looks like the few people that actually played it liked it. I haven't met another Stargate fan in person that's ever said anything good about it. And I go to Comic-Cons and stuff like that. I'm just talking from that. People can rate stuff all day. And just like we were talking about Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis getting review bombed by studios, hey, you don't think that opposite happens too? And they're like, you don't think a good chunk of these are just Stargate fans that were like, let me just put it, I didn't play the game. I'm too old to play a video game right now anyway. Let me just put like an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 on Metacritic or Steam, wherever it is. I don't know. I just keep my options open there, and I wouldn't die on that hill. I would not die on the Stargate Timekeeper's hill. Give Harris kudos for stepping up and helping with everything. Not many can do this. Thanks to everyone at Sidetrack. David, kudos to you. Thank you, all of y'all, for coming back and hanging out always. We love the hell out of y'all. Got a few more minutes, but hey, appreciate it. I might be Mr. Livestream around these parts nowadays, but it is always very nice to have more people to, have that back and forth between, have that conversation with. And when it's just us, and we have this conversation a little bit more intimately. I have to, of course, get information out before we can start having this conversation more intimately. But now we're at the point where we're just hanging, which is fun. Yeah, it's a little. It's not obviously it's me talking to a screen for a couple hours. Not that difficult at the end of the day, but difficult to keep y'all entertained and keep at least a good chunk of people in here for a lot of while. So thank y'all for hanging out. I've unsubbed from channels that take the joy in hating on new shows. Yeah, I'm with you. It's just be honest, always be honest. But you don't have to get hung up on something like that. And there are things, of course, we're a little hung up on the Acolyte and stuff because not only was it bad, but it sets some bad precedent for certain things. And that precedent that was set with the $230 million budget, which was nowhere on screen. I don't know if that's a payday for the actors and studio heads and producers and everybody else there, or if it was. I know people have said it's a money laundering scheme. I don't think that's the case. I sure as hell hope not. But damn, there's nothing about $230 million that was on that screen. Nothing. Godzilla Minus One was $13 million. And it doesn't even hold up. So yeah, it's no hating on stuff. It's saying it's being honest, making sure, because there's parts of the Acolyte I really enjoyed, and I think someone other than Leslie Headland, I just don't think she was a good showrunner for it, and that's weird because Russian Doll is great. She's done many great projects in the past. This just wasn't a home run. It just wasn't a home run. And I think there are things that need to be learned from that. So that's the reason I think Acolyte keeps getting hung up on just a little bit. But it's not good to get hung up on Rings of Power. I don't try to poo-poo on Rings of Power. I've just lessened my expectations. I try not to poo-poo other things because you just lessen your expectations. And you either keep watching with those lessened expectations or you decide to stop. Either one's plausible and possible and makes perfect sense. Terminator Z, I need to finish that. I watched the first episode with a couple people. They didn't like it. I thought it was all right. I enjoyed it. It wasn't like your average Terminator stuff by any means, but cool. I was into it. I didn't keep up with it, though. Nope. And I didn't even get to this comment, but everything I just said, there you go. No. No. Blair Witch, one of the most profitable movies of all time, didn't have much. Didn't cost much. I was about to say it didn't have much of a budget, which it didn't, but it didn't cost much. You can make a good indie film on your phone. I like and I hate that 28 years later it keeps getting said it's made and shot completely on an iPhone 15. Yeah. With $4,000 to $8,000, maybe $10,000, $12,000, $15,000, $20,000 lenses attached to that iPhone. But nonetheless, that 4K quality, you won't have the depth of your typical film. So it won't be like a cinematography quality, but it will be a high videography quality. And yeah, you might as well do it. It's the best way to do it. Have us stream from phones sometime. Schmook on MCube, my other channel, he streams all the time just on his phone. Jamie streams on his phone a lot too. Hey, it's easy. It's fun. It's great. One of the most barf-inducing for sure. There is no Jurassic Park movie after the original. The others don't exist. Hey, Lost World is at least good, right? You don't at least enjoy a little bit of Lost World? I don't know. I am looking forward to seeing what Gareth Edwards does with Jurassic Park. Yeah, I'm so cool. Hey, thank you, Michael. Okay. I didn't want to talk about it real quick, but I guess because I'm still behind on the damn comments. Stop commenting about this stuff. We'll move past the timekeeper stuff, okay? But all right, okay. The 20 years in the Acolyte, whatever. 72% is not a good score. It's an all right score. It's not a bad score either. I agree with both of those comments. How much of the 72% is paid for by the producer of the game is a question I ask, but that's this. This is the thing. The user score is 3.2. Nobody even liked it. Like, oh, out of 5. Okay, well, that's different. I did not realize it was out of 5. Out of 10, 3.2 ain't nothing. Out of 5, a little bit better than 50%. But still, once again, part of that. It just didn't have a large enough. Also, it didn't have a large enough base of people to play. So the few people that actually went to play it are definitely more inclined to like it already, which helps that score in a lot of ways. You got to think about it in that way as well. Oh, that is out of 10. 3.2 out of 10. Okay, that makes sense. Anyway. Blair Witch, $60,000 and made multi-millions. Yada, yada, yada. Will NCIS have 22 seasons? Why not Stargate? Come on. Give us the goodness. Give us the goodness. Yes. Okay. iPhones are one thing. Digital cameras and lens cameras have a different type of depth, and that gives it that cinematic quality instead of like your videography kind of quality. FX3, cheap freaking camera, and $80 million for the entirety of the creator, which looks amazing. It's doable. It's so doable, and I think Francis Ford Coppola and the creator, particularly those two examples, show that we do not need to be spending $200 million on movies anymore. It's just not necessary. But anyway, we will have to disagree. Van Bill is definitely a hit or miss. Yeah. Hey, not everybody likes everything, and as long as we give our reasoning from each side, there we go. The second Jurassic Park movie was the worst ever. One of the worst films ever. The Lost World was an amazing book and horrible film. Okay, it's definitely a better book. I was a kid growing up with it, so I guess I might have a different bias and a sweet spot for it. But, hey, I don't know. This is one of the worst films ever. But I get it. People didn't like it. The third one, I think, is much worse. Anyway, NCIS Atlantis. Yeah, I'd watch. It'd be fun. I shot a 25-minute improv movie of me trapped in a bathroom after a nuke on a cell phone. It depends how you use the media. Yes and no. Yes, it depends how you use it, totally. If you added something to it to change the depth of field, though, that changed it to an actual cinematic quality of camera. There's a difference between cinematography and videography, and it's not a big difference or a bad difference. It's just a lot of times it's just money spent because you can get nicer things with more money, and it sucks, but that's just what it is. But no, you can still get freaking absolutely amazing quality things on cell phones. Easy peasy. But yeah, Jurassic Park and Parks and Rec crossover, please. How's this guy still talking? Hey, howdy, Jamie. Cable, good lord, shows 22 to 24 episodes to fit calendar streaming, 10-ish as a rule. Yeah, that makes sense. Mark, I really wanted the kid to get eaten within 20 minutes. I love the kid from Lost World. Oh, no, I guess I was a kid at the time, so that was the one I, attached to. But damn, that's funny. Okay. Before we jump out of here, we're at 2:11. We'll do 2 hours and a half is our top. I probably won't make it that long, but we'll see. The Wild Robot, though. Let's talk about the Wild Robot for a second. Who doesn't love a T-Rex running through a city? The Wild Robot is something that I think any human being will get something amazing out of at any point in their life. I know I gave the example of as the second act went into the third act, there was a child bawling, crying in the theater. Like his parents were having to say, shh, nobody else can hear the movie. Because the kid was crying that hard. I was crying at the same time. I mean, not that hard, but I was crying just at the same time. And my buddy that was right next to me, I'm sure I'm 25, mid-20s, and my buddy's 27. 2 grown-ass dudes bawling in the movie theater with a family right next to us. They're all crying, too. And it's the best cries you'll have all year, man, because that Wild Robot is so good. It's a great sci-fi film itself. It's a great coming-of-age film. It's a great parenting film. It's a great film to understand all of those things from different perspectives. It's so well done. It might be my favorite movie of the year. I don't know yet, but it very well might be my favorite movie of the year. It is so freaking good. I'm gonna go see it with 2 or 3 other people this week that I've already talked to and said you need to go see it. Will you go see it with me? If I have the hours, yes. Yeah, and it's amazing. I don't want to go too far into it because I don't want to give any spoilers away, but it is very much succinctly nature. It says, you know what, and that's one of the sci-fi things I like about it is that it doesn't herald away from the bad. There are some dark moments in The Wild Robot. It's not like Transformers 1 where it's the moment where Megatron has like that thing where he's like, okay, Megatron's turning bad right here. He's talking about snapping necks and killing people, and he was just being like a best friend a few minutes ago. It's not like that. And you know, we can all expect that. That's not much of a spoiler from Transformers 1. I should have said little small spoiler, sorry, but that's not, we all expect that. That's kind of like par for the course. Now, Wild Robot, we don't really have expectations per se, and it's not dark in that sense. But a quick example, which technically is the smallest of spoilers, but should not affect your enjoyment for the thing at all whatsoever, is there's a mom that kind of like helps the Wild Robot every now and then. That's a possum, and the possum has 7 little babies on her back. And at one point, the possum, one of the babies, you don't see it get swooped up and eaten, but this thing gets taken by like a little animal in the background and totally eaten. And she's like, well, now we got 6. And another one kind of like slowly walks back up after the other 6 kind of like play dead, you know, as possums tend to do. And the mom's like, oh, glad you caught up. What was your name again? I don't remember this batch, you know? And it was like, that's very nature. Like it's different. And kids are kind of feel a little off about it probably, but like, oh, that's kind of funny because, you know, yada, yada. But not once entirely for the rest of the film does that 7th little possum come back. It is 6 possums from there on, you know, and it's really kind of cool in that way. It sticks to nature, the way nature works. Obviously, there's like some time kind of things where you push forward in time as your little gosling grows. But it is a beautiful new movie, beautiful movie to watch in general. And we all need a good cry now and then, Sarah. We do. And that one got me for a good bit. That one got me for a good bit. I don't think I need a good cry for a little while, but that was. Well, actually, I'm gonna go see it again this week, and I'm not gonna be able to hold it in. You know, I'm gonna be preparing and trying not to more, which is totally gonna make me do it more. But hell, I'm okay with that. I'm confident in myself enough where that doesn't affect me too much. I like going to movie theaters to cry every now and then. Not to cry, but if there's something that makes me cry, I'm not opposed to it. That's the best way of saying that. Better than Dune Part 2, seriously? That's the thing that's... Maybe. I don't know yet, but maybe. I don't know. I don't believe any movie this year could possibly be better than Dune Part 2. I love Dune because that's number 1 so far. I think, yeah, it's number 1 so far. But this is the one so far out of the year that very, very easily could take that spot. Very easily could take that spot. So damn good. It's sweet. It's smart. It's funny. It's cool. It's calm. It's learning. It's sad and it's got some really it's just so good. I can't go on about it enough without starting to spoil it. So please go check that out, y'all. Y'all would love it. Y'all will love it. Bring back the Primeval series, always, and Primal. I don't know if Gendy Tartakovsky finished Primal or not, but if he only wanted 2 seasons, I think he only wanted 2 seasons. 2 seasons because he did that other series that he started this past year, and I would love to see that again. That was fun, a little different, more fantasy, not Star Wars or Primal or anything like that. But I really do love some Gendy Tartakovsky. We talked about loving sci-fi. What's the last old sci-fi show movie anyone has watched? Ooh. Well, obviously the new stuff. Watch as often as possible. Old though. Fantastic Planet. I watch 2 or 3 times a year. I just love Fantastic Planet. I know it's French and I don't speak French, but it's got subtitles and that's all I need for that. I love the quirkiness of it without like modern quirk. It's like old quirk, but still not old quirk, but just quirk how it was done a few decades ago. In a good storytelling kind of way, but also super sci-fi that you never really know what's going to happen. You can kind of start guessing, but you're not entirely there. It's good. I love stuff like that. Currently watching Star Trek, the original series, on episode 15. I am about to watch all the Star Trek, though, I guess. And I don't know if Enterprise counts as old TV. But that's where I'm starting with. And we'll get to some of the newer stuff, I guess, before I go back to the original series. So it will look kind of funky because going back, like devolving into like CGI and stuff like that. But story-wise, developing, So I don't think that'll affect my enjoyment of it whatsoever, as long as that story is still going and developing properly. So yeah, that's on the docket. Nathan Fillion is the Stargate team leader. Nathan Fillion and anything sci-fi, please, just come on. I love Ben Browder as Cam. I'm surprised they didn't go for like Nathan Fillion as Cam. Obviously, get Ben Browder and Claudia Black for Vala Maldoran. Because they just came off Farscape, and bringing them back and letting them almost switch. Because I haven't seen Farscape more so than like the first episode and the odd episode here and there. But I think Vala is the more serious, like military one, and then Cam's your goofy kind of hey kind of person. And in SG1, they totally switch off, and Cam's your raunchy military man, and then Vala's like your goofball that's hanging out, crushing on Daniel, given a little bit of levity after RDA left. Correct me if that's wrong, but yeah, I'd love to see Nathan Fillion. I think he would have played that so damn well. But it also probably would have led into your RDA Joe Flanagan kind of character again, and I guess Cam is staunch enough where it does separate and differentiate enough there, which is cool. Anyway, Space 1999, great one. Red Dwarf, great one. Metropolis! Honestly, I kind of want to watch Metropolis. It doesn't have anything to do with Megalopolis, but just for the sake of the names would be kind of fun to watch again right now. The ships in 99 are awesome. The Day the Earth Stood Still, the original, hell yeah. I went back and watched Pyramids of Mars the night before Empire of Death aired back in June. Oh, cool. I just started watching Time Tracks again. Cool. Aliens, can't ever go wrong. Who's watching Stargate on a normal routine? I'm back on SG1 Season 4, Episode 5. Not on a normal routine. Just the only reason I don't watch it on a normal routine is probably because of Sidetrack. We tend to talk about it so much where there's like a specific episode to jump back into or something like that where we're like, okay, I'm going to go watch this for right now, But I think you should have it on normal scheduling, If I can go, okay, Harris, if you can get the original series Blu-rays, they are beautifully restored. That'd be really nice. Do you know if they're restored as well in Paramount Plus? Because that's probably my plan as of now. But if I can find a good old Blu-ray 4K restoration, I've got a DVD player ready. I'm ready. Looks like they were filmed 5 years ago. Oh, cool. Hell yeah. Farscape is Muppets in Space. And it sounds cool to me. I don't know. I love me some Muppets. But watching them all in chronological order, Star Trek, yep, I know. It's going to be weird. So just from what's been told to me, of course, I have to lay it out myself and figure it out, is it goes Enterprise, first couple of seasons of Discovery, then Strange New Worlds, then the original series, and then some of those movies. And then is it Deep Space Nine? Something like that. And then so on and so forth until you catch up with the latest Strange New Worlds and Discovery again, and you're just or maybe not Strange New Worlds, you catch up with Discovery in the future or whatever it may be. Yeah, it's going to be different. For damn sure. Very different. Yeah. Yo. JT Fuzzinator, my man. Or my lady. I don't know who you are. Fuzzinator, I guess JT could be anybody. But Aaron Eckhart as a Stargate team leader would be fantastic. So good. I love me some Eckhart, and he's not utilized enough. Well, oh God, that'd be great. I love that casting. That's a great casting. Good old UFO with the Shadow Organization. Hey, I think they're restored on Paramount Plus. Oh, cool. That's gonna be really cool then. The original series isn't worth it. Well, I hate to hear that. I guess I have to find out myself still, so that's going to be a lot to go through if it's not good. But we'll see. They have Blu-ray steelbooks on Amazon for about $40. Oh, that's actually I didn't realize that. That's cool. Farscape is goofy and awesome, and I love it. Oh, cool. Oh, for the whole series, you can get like that's even cooler. Okay, nice. I love the original series, but then that's right. So it goes The Next Generation, then Deep Space Nine, and then Picard, or does it go? Oh, I guess Next Generation is Picard, or is Deep Space Nine? I don't remember. I don't. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Audio description on SG1. What about them? Huh? Paramount Plus. Cool. Oh, cool. Also, I love the original series, but The Next Generation, my one golden age and overall Star Trek show. Okay, cool. I think I started asking questions and forgot to read the rest of that one. Yeah, but we are 2 hours, 25 minutes into this puppy, y'all. You know what? One thing we did not do. I got so caught up in reading and catching up in the comments, and I think we kind of started debating some Stargate timekeepers there, DB. But I forgot to lay out our proposed Stargate timeline of how long it could be going on. So let's end it with a quick thing. So if they announce Stargate in December, so December 25th would be kind of like the latest date if they want it by Christmas. Let's just say December. It takes pre-production if it's already kind of started to a degree. They probably have some stuff laid out. It probably won't be as long of a pre-production. So instead of up to 6 or 8 months maybe, which usually doesn't take that long, but for 3 seasons of television and a TV film with the possibility of franchisable stuff afterward, they have to have laid out if they're going to do it. They're going to need a little bit more pre-production. Maybe that could be cut down to your average 3, 4, 5 months of pre-production, which would be nice because usually pre-production's 2 to 4 to 5, just depending on your the film or the TV project you have going. So a good chunk of the year. It'd have to be filming, and of course they would have to do the pre-production. Technically, pre-production can last years. It can last years, and I don't think they would get started on it that quickly. It probably would be let's give it that good old Sony and Amazon buffer that we were talking about earlier. Let's say they're going to start they start in March or April. Let's say April. We'll give them a 3-month period where they're like, all right, well, what do we do? This is what we're doing. April, they start pre-production. December to April, pre-production. 5 months of that. Let's say 4 months just because we're in April and that's 8 months. We'll jump into August. So we're in August of 2025. Production can start now. Production, I don't know how they would do it. If they're just doing the TV film, it doesn't necessarily have to take a whole lot of time. It could take 2 or 3 months instead of your 4 or 5 months. If it's a TV show, it's probably going to take 4 or 5, 6 months if they're filming that from the get-go, just because of the amount of stuff they want to have out there and are preparing and world building wise. And also, you know what? Let's go ahead and say if we're in August, let's push it back to October because they're going to have an extra long pre-production to build all these sets because that's what they're already talking about with the world building. So we're going to push that. Did you realize your camera's focusing in and out on your hat? Oh, yeah, it does it. It does it. It does it with my face, too. It's also because I have a desk that moves a little bit, and the camera's not 100% stable. So it's a little funky. But yeah, so okay, let's say if just give them an extra 2 months for building sets and stuff like that. Now we're pushing ourselves back another 2 months. We were in April, now we're in October of next year. We're right where we are right now next year before they can even start filming. Then that's going to take, let's just say if they're doing the film and the TV and they want to bounce off, they'll film it back to back. Let's say 3 months on a film set. Just give it the long one. We'll give it 4 months wouldn't even be that bad. But 3 months would be good. Let's say 3 months for the film, TV film. Let's say another 5 for the TV project itself, the first season of the TV project. That's 8 months. We're starting in October of next year. That's at least June of 2026 until things are completely filmed and ready. That would also be the 5 months after the 3 months that were filmed with the film the TV film in our timeline. So that can already start its post-production. So while production's going on with the TV, I can't speak now. While the production's going on with the TV show in that part, post-production for the movie would be going on. So that would help cross over timelines and push it out a little bit. But then post-production's another 3 or 4 months. So even if we cut that 5 out and we go 3 and we go from October to February, it's still summer until post-production can start, which means that maybe, oh God. So it would probably be 2026 in the fall would be our most realistic. Late summer would be maybe if they're gunning for it. If they're gunning for it on our TV screens, late summer of 2026. If they're going on your average production schedule, fall to winter of 2026. And if they go slow route and really time it out and plan it out and take some time with it, it'll be 2027. I think the last quarter of 2026 is really the timeline we should be looking for. But yeah. Oh, Amazon just released audio descriptions on SG1 on Prime Video. Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. Wikipedia describes Artie as a retired actor. I think he is retired. I don't think he's really done anything in a long time. But he would come back for Stargate. Most likely, at least. You give him some dollars, I bet you he will. Oh, Willow and Aliens crossover. A Scooby-Doo Blair Witch crossover. Okay, I need to get some sleep. That's actually kind of great. That one would actually work in its own weird way, you know? Maybe not as scary as Blair Witch is supposed to be, but if you lean into we don't see the actual scary thing just about ever, you can do it. When was the last time you had jalapeno pancakes? Never. I don't think so. I like spicy stuff. I'm not a big jalapeno person. I don't mind jalapeno flavored things. Not flavored. I don't mind if like a jalapeno had sat in it and you take it out and you still have a little bit of jalapeno flavor. I don't know. I like spicy things too. So it's just the jalapeno that gets me, I guess. I don't know. Getting new eyes will be so important. Marketing will be a penny for sure. Yeah. That then the whole marketing strategy, they have to plan all that out. So that's the whole thing. Thought they were a Texas thing. I've never heard of jalapeno pancakes. I don't think you put jalapenos in pancakes. I guess it's just another type of bread. So shoot, why not? But also, I don't know. I wouldn't be down for it. Now you put some chocolate chips in my pancake, blueberries, strawberries, bananas in my pancake. Maybe all 4 of those things in a pancake. I'm a happy camper. But yeah, I don't know about jalapeno pancakes. That one's interesting. Might as well try it one day, though, you know? But yeah, the TARDIS appears inside the gate room and the 10th Doctor walks out. All these would be so fun. Which I might have to go ahead and let y'all go and let y'all explore these fun ideas on your own. I'll leave the comment section for a bit before I actually head out of here. So y'all can keep commenting before I end the actual aspect of where you can't comment on the stream anymore. But hey, you know what? I should have done this a couple times already, and as always, I forget. But don't forget to I always try that one, and I'm pretty bad about promoting that aspect. But subscribe, do all that good stuff. Help us out, and we'll help you out by giving you the most updated Stargate kind of stuff that we can give you. All the content, all the news, rumors, scoops, etc., etc. We will let you know what it is. And all this today was rumors that has the potentiality to be a scoop. So fingers crossed. And let's do this thing, Good night. Thanks for not canceling. Get well, Jamie. Hope everyone's doing well. Like, subscribe, comment. Also, rest in peace, John Ashton. One of his final works, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel Foley. Really? Oh, that's a shame. See you, David. Come on, Amazon, pitter patter. Let's get it at her. Come on. Take care, y'all. Good night. There we go. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all that. I was like, I might as well put that up there for you. But yeah, later, y'all. Love y'all. Y'all be safe. Y'all have a great rest of your weekend, and adios.